State wins the Division I football championship.
Today in beautiful Norfolk, Virginia, an FCS playoff rematch from a year ago, this time in the quarterfinals. And it features the #1 aerial attack of Old Dominion, led by Taylor Heinicke, against Georgia Southern's nation-leading run game. We could have a shootout. The FCS playoffs are next. Welcome to the NCAA FCS Football Championship on ESPN, presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Coming into historic Ballard Stadium, the 4-seed Old Dominion, ready to take on the 5-seed Georgia Southern in an FCS quarterfinal. Here's a look at the updated bracket. The winner of this game will face either the 1-seed and defending national champion North Dakota State or Wofford. Montana State, the 3-seed, upset last night in Bozeman. Eastern Washington and Illinois State will play later tonight. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Norfolk alongside my partner, former Georgia All-American Matt Stinchcomb. I'm Clay Matvick. We've got playoff football for you today, folks, and we're looking forward to it. The FBS will have a 4-team playoff starting in 2014. The FCS has had it for years, and it's always exciting football.
Yeah, for a long time now at the FCS level, their teams have had an opportunity to earn their championships. They get into the postseason, and then they have to battle it out. There is no conjecture. There is no conversation. You prove yourself on the football field, and we saw in the bracket earlier a variety of styles represented in these postseason games. You've got North Dakota State that plays defense, but here today we've got two very different offensive-oriented football teams. Georgia Southern, with their triple option, they spread the football around, but they keep it on the ground. 4 different players with at least 400 yards rushing. And then Old Dominion, they're going to spread the football field, and they're going to air it out. They run it more than you think, but 2 great quarterbacks and 2 very different offenses.
Georgia Southern quarterback Jerick McKinnon, he ran for over 300 yards last week. Meanwhile, Old Dominion threw for over 700 yards in one game earlier this season. Something's got to give today. It's going to be fun. Wilder, the Old Dominion head coach, former Maine offensive coordinator, got this program started at the ground level. From non-existent 5 years ago to Conference USA in 2014 for Old Dominion. And on the other sideline, Jeff Monken, former Paul Johnson understudy, brought the triple option back to Georgia Southern and has re-energized this program with 2 straight national semifinal appearances. Beautiful weather here in Norfolk, 58 degrees under cloudy skies. Last year, the final of this game, 55-48 down in Statesboro, won by Georgia Southern. We'll see what happens today. There is Aaron Evans back to return for ODU. Georgia Southern won the toss. They have deferred. So we're going to see that powerful ODU offense right out of the gate. Luke Cherry has it in the air, and we're underway here in Norfolk. Evans from inside the 5 on the return. And he's going to be stopped short of the 20, and the Monarchs will have it at the 19-yard line.
Well, Clay, we look at this ball game last year, but coming into this game this season, it's going to be who can hold serve offensively. And Old Dominion is the type of offense that not only can they capitalize on their possessions, but you see on the arm of Taylor Heinicke, they can score quickly. They run a lot of plays. It's a very up-tempo oriented offensive attack.
Heinicke out of the shotgun. He has Tyree Lee behind him, and Lee will get the first carry. Goes over the right side, and he's going to get about 2 yards. He's the team's #1 rusher, despite beginning the year as the #3 running back. He is a local product from Hampton, went to Phoebus High School, where he won a state title. A lot of great talent in this area of Virginia. 2nd down and 8. Heinicke Plenty of time, gets rid of it, throws to the near sideline. Should have been caught, but dropped by Nick Mayers. First team All-Colonial Athletic Association. Over 1,000 yards this year receiving. Should have had that one. It brings up a 3rd down and long now.
Yeah, Nick Mayers is one of their go-to players, and you see there, hits him right in the hands. Taylor Heinicke puts it where he can possess it, unable to come up with the catch. Heinicke took a shot from Dion DeBose on that last one, looping around from his defensive end position. And you see Georgia Southern, they're employing a 3-down line because of the 4 wide receiver set that Old Dominion employs.
Big 3rd down early in this game. Heinicke sets to throw, jumps up in the pocket and throws a strike to the 35. Caught by Antonio Vaughn. Big 1st down catch for Vaughn, the 2nd leading receiver on this team. And that's a gain of 24.
You see something to watch throughout this ball game will be the protection. Now you'll see Old Dominion so far staying in the same formations. They don't hop around. They'll spin in a 2-by-2 now. They were in a 3-by-1. That's all you'll see. No motions. It's a very simple approach, but they rattle off a lot of plays.
1st and 10 from the 46 of ODU. Monarchs opening series. Heinicke again goes up top. Deep downfield and just out of the reach of Vaughn. Vaughn, the speedy 5'8", 170-pound sophomore, just about a yard behind that pass.
You know, we were visiting with Coach Wilder yesterday, and he indicated that Georgia Southern will hop into man coverage. They're not scared to challenge you outside. Old Dominion typically doesn't go for the big ball, not the big home run hitters. They're happy to throw underneath and get their yards quickly with short throws. There, though, stretching the defense, going deep early.
That might surprise a lot of people who are watching, you know, when you consider how many yards ODU puts up through the air. They do just chunk it and dunk it. So now 2nd down and 10. And now Heinicke turns and he's going to call a timeout.
You can see there, you know, the play clock getting away from Heinicke a little bit. They do give him the latitude to get them into and out of the appropriate plays. Well, really, it's simple. 10 plays of passing, 2 different runs, so he's got a very limited menu, but he can get them into the right spots.
Well, today is a rematch of last year's FCS 2nd round playoff game in Statesboro, Georgia. As expected, it was high scoring. Old Dominion's Taylor Heinicke threw for 341 yards and 5 touchdowns, but Georgia Southern racked up 607 yards of total offense. They never punted. 255 yards came from Dominique Swope on the ground. 55-48 the final. The teams, like you said before, Stinch, exchanged touchdowns until the 4th quarter when Georgia Southern finally broke serve.
Yeah, they got out of rhythm. Old Dominion did. They got stopped on downs on a 4th and 1 as an incomplete pass. It was probably the only bad throw or bad read by Taylor Heinicke in the entire ball game. But ultimately, they exchanged 2 fumbles, and that was the difference because Georgia Southern was able to get a margin of points on the scoreboard and go up 2 scores. And that, unfortunately for Old Dominion, they were unable to close that gap when they got back out on the offensive football field.
Heinicke after the timeout, 2nd down and 10. The Atlanta native looking to throw again and throws another strike. This time he's in plus territory, complete at the 40-yard line to Larry Pinkard. That's a gain of 15. Here are the Monarchs' impact players, and it starts with Heinicke.
Well, of course it does. I mean, with the ability to throw the football, but also make plays with his legs. We've seen Nate Mayers already, and Wilkins on the defensive side of the ball versus this triple option offense will have a very busy day at his linebacking position.
This drive started at the Old Dominion 20. 1st and 10 from the 40 of Georgia Southern, incomplete to Blair Roberts, the intended receiver. Big guy out there, a couple of touchdowns last week. Brings up 2nd and 10. We could see Heinicke today, Matt, break Steve McNair's 18-year-old FCS record for passing yards in a season. He came in just 208 yards shy.
You can see already, he'll certainly get the opportunity. They'll run the football enough, and they can be effective on the ground, but ultimately the yards are gained in this Old Dominion offense through the passing attack. Heinicke
on 2nd and 10. Nice pocket to throw from. He'll dump it into the flat to Lee. Tyree Lee will get a handful before he's run out of bounds by Kyle Olbeck, the middle linebacker. It's a gain of 5 for Lee.
to see Georgia Southern changing up some of their fronts. They'll hop into a 4-down line, hop into a 3-down line. They've brought slot pressure already. We visited with their coaches trying to determine who you go after this quarterback as quickly as they get the ball out. Heineke does a good job of delivering it quickly. But regardless, you just can't sit back and let them have a clean pocket. We've seen them get hit already. Sometimes you play coverage, sometimes you bring pressure like Southern is indicating here.
3rd down and 5. Heineke gets away and gets rid of it. Caught by Lee, and he's dumped behind the line of scrimmage. Heineke played Houdini in the backfield. Valdon Cooper and Kyle Olbeck had him wrapped up. It's still a loss of 8, and Old Dominion has a 4th down situation.
See Olbeck, and what they had done is stem the linebackers up into the line of scrimmage. To Bose again, looping through the line of scrimmage as well. Olbeck gets there first, loses his helmet, and was still in on the play. Heineke able to keep that play alive, and you see him. He's able to maintain his balance just long enough, almost gets taken out. And you see him able to deliver it. DeBartolo almost took him out, his own guy, his left tackle.
Heineke, it's not uncommon to see him punt in situations like this. He's got 11 punts on the year. He has put 7 inside the 20. It's 4th and 13 from the 42 of Georgia Southern. Heineke's going to try and throw, and he's hit again. Gets away again with tuck and run. Finds his seam, 1st down, and he slides inside the 20. Taylor Heineke. What a beautiful play to keep the drive alive.
Sheds another sack, able to stay on his feet. This time, rather than throw it, he does it himself. When we talk about the running ability of Jarrett McKinnon, but Old Dominion's got a mobile quarterback as well, and Heineke able to convert for the 1st down.
Gain of 23. Now Lee bounces to the outside. He's got another 1st down for Old Dominion. Finally brought down near the 5-yard line by Cooper, the corner.
Well, we shouldn't be that surprised, Clay, that Bobby Wilder would go for it. They've gone for it 30 different times on 4th down this season. They've converted 76% of them. That was 31. And now they've gotten an opportunity here in the red zone from a situation where most teams are punting at 4th and 10 plus. And now they've got a shot to put it in the scoring zone.
And good in the red zone, too. 88% on the year. Complete to Pinkard. And he's spilled inside the 5-yard line. It's going to be 2nd down and goal at the 2. Westbrooks keeping him out of the end zone. It's a gain of 3.
You can see Georgia Southern shuttling their players on and off the field. You got to spell your guys early. This is just the first drive for Old Dominion. The defense had opportunities to get off the football field. Now they have to find a way to keep the Monarchs out of the end zone.
High snap. Heineke fakes the handoff, keeps and takes it in. Rushing touchdown for Taylor Heineke, who was absolute magic on this opening series for Old Dominion.
We saw a couple of what have been certain sacks, you would think, by Georgia Southern, dialing up the pressure from the 2nd level. Heineke, nice read on the zone read. He's just reading the backside linebacker, Stevenson. Stevenson takes the back. Heineke pulls it and walks in for the score, and we've seen him make plays already in this ballgame with his arm, keeping plays alive and under duress. Able to move the Monarchs down the field for the 1st touchdown of the game.
Jared Brown with the extra point, the West Virginia transfer, and Taylor Heineke. His 11th rushing touchdown of the year. The Monarchs take the early lead. There's the USS Wisconsin. 69 years ago yesterday, it was launched. Old Dominion with a 7-0 lead. Taylor Heineke, 5 for 8, 40 yards passing, also 25 yards rushing on a couple of carries and a touchdown on that 1st drive.
And keeping plays alive, we see Heineke delivering the football down the field. They distribute it very well to their receivers, but keeping plays alive. On the previous snap, he got a pass off. This time scrambles for the 1st down. And then the keeper, nice read on that zone read option. And there's only 2 different run plays, inside zone and outside zone, that Old Dominion employs. It makes Georgia Southern pay. The Eagles had opportunities to get the Monarchs off the football field able to bring pressure, able to get to Heinicke. Heinicke, the fact that he's able to evade the rush, escape that pressure, and either deliver the football or keep his eyes downfield for a scramble proved to be pivotal on that opening possession.
Jared Brown puts it into the end zone. It's going to be a touchback for Georgia Southern. And we're going to get our first look at this triple option attack led by Jerick McKinnon. There he is, almost 1,500 rushing yards this season and 15 touchdowns. He ran for 316 yards on 34 carries last week against Central Arkansas. Second best rushing game in team history.
Second to Adrian Peterson, who's a legend at the FCS level with the numbers he put up at the running back position at Georgia Southern. You see Jerick McKinnon, though, not only a quarterback, he's played the other three quote-unquote running back positions. He's played the T-back, he's played the B-back, and the A-back positions, understands this entire offense.
First carry for Dominique Swope, who's closing in on his second straight 1,000-yard rushing season. Entered the day just 17 yards shy, now just 15 shy, after Preston Smith brings him down after a 2-yard gain.
You know, we talk about the contrasting styles, and you see here Dominique Swope. He's a fullback, quote-unquote. They call him a B-back in this offense. Typically, a fullback is just a blocking back. But you see the numbers there, 169 rushes. In this offense, the fullback is the primary player. Then you see an A-back right here in a wing-back position and a T-back. They call this formation the flex bone, and you see there the danger of the fullback in this offense.
Swope out to the 45. Big run for a first down for Georgia Southern. Give him 18.
This is what you see, the wide splits, and if they get movement inside, just like they did here, St. Amour does a good job at the center position, getting some movement versus Burnett, and they play a lot slower. This is a huddle offense, Clay. I mean, they're going to stop, reset, come out and line up in this flex bone formation and try to possess the football, much like Villanova did in the lone defeat that Old Dominion suffered this season.
Now McKinnon on the option, decides to keep, and he gets hammered at the 41-yard line. Craig Wilkins with the tackle. Fourth-year Monarch captain. It's a loss of 3.
You see McKinnon, what they want to do here in this offense. We saw Taylor Heinicke make a read on the zone keep for the touchdown run. There's really 3 different decisions in this triple option offense, hence the triple. Nice and autobiographical, you like that, but you got to decide, do you give it to the dive? Does the quarterback keep it or does he pitch it? Oftentimes there's 2 defenders unblocked.
It is Swope again. And he went over 1,000 yards for the season on his last carry. Another big gain of 16 yards. The middle linebacker, Caleb Taylor, made the tackle. The transfer from Virginia. He is expected to have a big day today because he's going to be watching McKinnon.
He's got to watch the quarterback's eyes, but he also has to be able to scrape over the top. He's got to play the defense inside out and take care of these dive runs that already Dominique Swope is having success with.
3 carries, 36 yards already for Swope. Opening series for Georgia Southern. And here comes Jonathan Bryant, his first touch, and it's a good one. A first down run to the near side, and he's dropped at the 26 by Wilkins. 16-yard gain, and the Eagles move the chains again.
A little misdirection there, and you watch this triple option offense, and some of it is sleight of hand, and some of it is just meat grinder. You see the offensive front, all they want to do is lock up the inside defenders and let the decisions be made on the perimeter. There, it's an automatic give. And you see there the indecision right there. When you try to get upfield, Alex Johnson, do I close? Do I stay wide and contain?
And here's Swope, and he'll get 3 more.
These are the stops, though, that Old Dominion has to have, because if those dive plays are available, if you can get your B-back going, that fullback position that number 6 Dominique Swope plays, it unlocks the entire offense. In last year's game versus Old Dominion, Georgia Southern had tremendous success on the perimeter, on the edges. But when you're running in the middle of your defense, the defenders have to collapse more, and it opens up the perimeter pitches.
Number 1 rushing offense in the country. 393 yards per game. Now they're going to give Trey Butler a carry. And it's going to go for no gain. A loss of 1 on the play. This ODU defense, we've been suspect at times, ranking 8th out of 11 teams in the Colonial Athletic. This home crowd, a sellout for the 29th straight time, is getting behind this Monarchs D.
And here's their chance. On first down, they're able to stop the dive. And the pitch there, the turf monster gets a ball carrier on the 25-yard line, and now you've got a third down opportunity to slow the offense down.
Looking to pass, McKinnon, but penalty flags fly before he can attempt to throw. Only 37 pass attempts for McKinnon all year.
Offense, number 58.
It's a false start. Greg Wilson, our
Still
referee
third down.
today. It's Garrett Fry, the right tackle.
When you take a look at Old Dominion's offensive front, they've got some monsters on the inside at the guard positions. Georgia Southern, there's not many guys to speak of on their offensive front. And really, when you look at it, Garrett Fry, the smallest of all of them, number 58, does an excellent job in their run game. They'll cost them 5 yards on the false start.
Huge third down here for both teams. And McKinnon wants to throw off his back foot, comes to the near side. Darian Robinson the catch, and he muscles ahead for the first down inside the 10. Robinson, who had a touchdown catch last week with a big first down, 15 yards.
You see number 7 here, he leaks out late because they were unbalanced. They run the football so much at Georgia Southern. They went unbalanced, and they moved left tackle Blake DeBartola all the way over to the right side, and that's exactly where Robinson started. He leaks out, is able to get open the weak side of the formation for the first.
They go back to Swope, and not much on the inside. It'll bring up second down. Gain of 1 as John Dar, the strong side linebacker, very steady on that side, brings him down. Georgia Southern, the 5 seed. They won the SoCon. Automatic bid after sharing the conference title with Wofford and Appalachian State. Impressive win over Central Arkansas last week, despite no points in the second half for this powerful offense.
You see again, unbalanced. This is a tight end. That's Tyler Sumner.
On the toss, Bryant making his way toward the pylon, but stopped just short. You're going to mark him out at the 1. Jonathan Bryant ran out by Paul Morant, the free safety. A 12-yard gain, first down and goal for the Eagles.
You see the unbalance, and then Sumner, he's able to get outside. They do an excellent job at Georgia Southern. Robinson involved as well. When they get on the perimeter, not just the tight ends, the wide receivers as well, you have to block on the edges versus the defensive back to spring the big runs when there is a pitch.
Keeping it, McKinnon, and he got in. Touchdown, Georgia Southern. 10 runs, 1 pass, and on the opening series, the Eagles score.
The only thing surprising about that is the 1 pass. I mean, after last year, the way these offenses operate, it's somewhat unsurprising that they opened the game, score, and then score. Old Dominion with some adversity, overcoming pressure in the pocket with Taylor Heineke. But Jarrett McKinnon finding a way to complete a pass to convert for a first down to keep this drive alive, to score and answer the Monarchs' opening drive. And now we're knotted up and let the scoring begin, Clayton.
Alex Hanks with the extra point, and we're tied at 7. Well, the pass was the key play. There have been games this year where Georgia Southern has recorded 0 passing yards. Huge completion to Robinson to keep the drive alive, and then Bryant gets it to the 1, and McKinnon puts it in. There's Jarek McKinnon, who just completed an 11-play, 75-yard drive to tie this game up for Georgia Southern. The most revered award in college football will be presented tonight on ESPN. Who will join one of the game's most exclusive fraternities? The Heisman Trophy, tonight at 8 on ESPN. Johnny Manziel, unknown back in August. You and I were fortunate enough to see him a couple of times, the Texas A&M freshman quarterback. I have a feeling it's going to be his time.
Well, if stats mean anything, it probably should be. He's got better numbers than Cam Newton or Tim Tebow.
Aaron Evans on the return here for Old Dominion. And he gets it to the 27-yard line. All right, ODU, we'll see if they can hold serve now. Both teams scoring on their opening possessions. Both teams with a possession, both teams with a touchdown. We're tied at 7 in a brisk moving first quarter. Under 5 minutes to go here in the opening stanza. And Taylor Heinicke and the Monarchs have it again. They start at their own 27 on this possession. Heinicke wants to throw deep over the middle, and that pass was behind the intended receiver, Blair Roberts. And it brings up second down and 10. Let's look at the play selection for both of these teams. Not uncharacteristic. Georgia Southern, they keep it on the ground. The #1 rushing attack in the country. Old Dominion accomplishing a lot through the air, although you can't discount what Heinicke has done with his feet.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think of those 4 rushes. One of those is a scramble. That wasn't a called run. Old Dominion took more plays to get there. Also unsurprising given the plays they run.
Second and 10. Pumping, throwing, Heinicke complete. Well short of the first down is Larry Pinkard. Pinkard had 6 catches for 154 and 3 touchdowns last week. And so now a 3rd down and 3, man.
And already, we've seen, and it was demonstrated in the first drive, Georgia Southern unafraid to bring pressure, knowing that Old Dominion has multiple targets in their passing tree. Already Old Dominion showing that if you're going to man up outside, they're willing to take shots deep. 2 deep balls that we've seen in this game, unable to connect on either.
On a 3rd and 3, they elect to pass here too. And Heinicke going to the outside, man goes down. There comes the flag. Roberts was tossed to the ground by Nick Wright. Nick Wright, the cornerback for Georgia Southern, who has played against Heinicke before, knocked down Heinicke's receiver.
They're trying to go to Roberts again. They attempted it earlier. Heinicke a little bit off on his throw.
Defensive pass interference. Defense number 21.
It is pass interference against
penalty.
Wright, who beat Heinicke in high school. Wright played for MLK High School, Heinicke for Collins Hill near Atlanta.
You see there, that's an easy call. Nick Wright, I don't know if he felt as if the ball was about to arrive, but he mugs Roberts well before the ball gets there, unable to get his head around either. That was an easy call for pass interference and an easy first down. Old Dominion was facing yet again a 3rd down, which we've already shown. Bobby Wilder's not scared. It's 4-down territory just about all over the football field unless you're in the shadow of your own goalpost.
Second penalty against Georgia Southern. Now 1st and 10 from the Monarchs 48. Colby Goodwin on the jet sweep. The cone #1 to start the year. A foot injury knocked him out of the lineup midway through the season, but feeling good now here in the playoffs. Darius Eubanks makes the tackle, so to bring up 2nd down and about 2.
With this offense that Old Dominion employs, the safeties for Georgia Southern helping in coverage, but also collapsing, knowing that their defense is playing with maybe 5 defenders only in the box. Opportunities for them to come up and run support. Darius Eubanks does an excellent job there, form tackle.
Heinicke, that's going to be short of the first down. The catch was made by Kirk Spellman, the freshman receiver. This is a deep receiving core, 8 receivers with at least 20 catches. He's about a yard shy, so it's going to bring up 3rd down and 1 for ODU. Tyree Lee behind and to the left of Heinicke. Most teams like to run in situations like this. Not the Monarchs. They're going to throw for it here. Heinicke has a man. It's complete. Caught by Mayers. Enough for the first down. Now looking for more after the catch. Lunges ahead to about the 33-yard line. He is the go-to guy in clutch situations. Give him 9. They'll move the sticks.
Well, that time Georgia Southern dialing up the pressure again. Heinicke able to diagnose it and deliver the football over top of it. Went to the same direction or the same side of the formation from where the pressure came. And you see there a little bit, Mayer almost able to escape the tackle. That's what the receivers do very well for Old Dominion, is catch and then run after the catch.
Mayer's a great athlete. Played corner against Georgia Southern last year in the playoffs. Now Heinicke in trouble and dumped at the 40 by Olbeck and DeBose. Dion DeBose, number 33, missed last 2 playoff runs for Georgia Southern because of a knee injury. Now finally getting a taste of the playoffs. Helps on that play for a loss of 7.
You see Olbeck here, and what's going to happen is DeBose is going to end up ultimately collapsing the pocket. It's good initially, but you see Heineke flushing late and Olbeck just closing, keeping his eyes on the quarterback all the time. They've already been hurt by the quarterback scramble in this ball game. Olbeck does an excellent job of getting the tackle for loss.
2nd and 17. Heineke getting some pressure from the edge. Gets it deep downfield. More contact. No flags. Now it comes in late. Pinkard was hoping to get a penalty flag, and finally one is thrown. It looks like J.J. Wilcox, the strong safety for Georgia Southern, is the guilty culprit. Wilcox, who
Defensive pass interference. Number 9. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
well, they said 9, but we know it to be 19. Wilcox, who got an invitation to the Senior Bowl on Monday. Yeah, good call. I think you got to push on Pinkard there.
You know, to me, and you see the field judge right here. He didn't see enough contact to think that there was PI. The back judge was the one that came running in and made the call. Field judge kind of ran in and had a quick conversation. I don't know, I think that was a little ticky-tack. Regardless, there's going to be a lot of challenges to this defensive secondary of Georgia Southern because of this offensive approach, the fact that the ball's in the air so much.
The penalty keeps the drive going. Now to the end zone. This is going to be incomplete. Intended for Marquel Thomas. Nevada and Arizona in the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl coming up a week from today. Bowl season is just about upon us.
That'll be a fun one to watch, too. You know, Nevada's got that pistol offense that many teams have adopted or at least incorporated into their approach. And, of course, Arizona with Rich Rodriguez, the spread option attack, the one that Oregon has perfected. Some points and some yardage in that game.
But this week belongs to the FCS and, of course, the Army-Navy game today. Now the officials having a conversation here.
They had to adjust the play clock there. They had some issues, I think, on the first drive as well. You see Old Dominion, though, once again challenging the Georgia Southern secondary and not scared to push the ball vertically in this game.
2nd and 10 from the 25. And another catch, this time Vaughn. And spins to the 19. Gain of 6. Westbrooks, the 3rd-year starter in the secondary for Georgia Southern, makes the tackle. 3rd down and 4 here. 2nd series for Old Dominion. Inside the red zone. 57 touches in 74 drives into the red zone this year for the Monarchs. Heineke. A low throw, but the catch is made. It's going to be short of the first down, it appears. The catch scooped up by Pinkard, but about a yard shy.
Well, there's no question that because they're a yard shy that they go for it here. We've already documented it here. We've already seen Old Dominion have success on 4th down, and Bobby Wilder staying on the gas. Brian Scott, the offensive coordinator, trusting his quarterback to pick up the needed yardage, and they have repeatedly throughout the season with great success.
10th play of the drive. It's a big one here. 4th and 1. Play clock under 10. Heineke fakes the pitch. Ball comes out. Scooped up by Lee, but he is going to be stopped short of the line of scrimmage. And Georgia Southern, for the first time tonight, gets off the field defensively.
Well, you see it. We just get done talking about it. They've gone for it on 4th down 32 times this season. They were 1 for 1 on the previous drive. But on this one, you could see Heineke, it was as if they weren't quite clear. Now here's the stud defensive lineman for Georgia Southern, Russell. And you see him get penetration right now. We talk about the size of Old Dominion inside. But one day, Brent Russell, you talk to these Georgia Southern coaches, they think he's going to be playing on Sundays. He blows that play up on the option game. If you can't block inside, you can't run the option, and we saw it there.
McKinnon wants to throw on first down. Deep down the field and almost caught by Tyler Sumner, the tight end. He's only got 3 catches this year. They were going for the big play. Here's a look at our brackets. The winner of this game will play either North Dakota State or Wofford. The Bison, the defending national champions, and the 1 seed. Sam Houston State looked good last night in a very cold Bozeman, Montana. And tonight at 6 Eastern on ESPN3, Eastern Washington and Illinois State.
Some accomplished football teams. There are a couple of triple option football teams in that bracket still.
Under 30 seconds to go here in the first quarter. Now throwing here is Williford. And a penalty flag. We have not seen that from Georgia Southern. Mitchell Williford trying to hit Patrick Barker. Penalty flag with 6 seconds to go in the quarter.
Well, they got Mitchell Williford. He's got 1 reception on the year, but the flip to him and not their fastest offensive player outside. Clearly something was amiss.
Defensive pass interference. Number 22. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
TJ Cowards, the corner, with the pass interference.
This is where they're headed with the football. And Williford's going to come from the bottom of your screen, and you see McKinnon just flip it to him on the reverse. He's able to unload, but because the defense and because of the holding, really, and that's actually not that bad of a penalty when you think about it. If there's an opportunity and you know that you're beaten, rather than give up a score, go ahead and pick up the penalty. Craig Wilkins punished Williford, though, as he delivered the football.
McKinnon fakes the pitch, the keeper to the 40. And a good run on first down, give him 6. Morant, free safety playing for Devon Simmons, who's out with an arm injury, makes the tackle. Simmons expected back next week for ODU. And that's going to do it for the first quarter. Monarchs 7, the Eagles 7 in this FCS quarterfinal. Welcome back to the FCS playoffs presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Tied at 7 as we get ready to start the second quarter. And Georgia Southern has it at their own 40-yard line. Dominique Swope, a big run up the middle. And into ODU territory. Craig Wilkins finally brought him down, but it's a gain of 21 as Georgia Southern's offense trying to take advantage of what the defense did and getting off the field.
They're coming right at you, Dominique Swope, and until Old Dominion can shore up their defense in the center, in the middle of that defensive line, Georgia Southern could do about whatever they want. Look at that blocking up front. Garrett Fry sealing off. Looks like a rototiller coming at you.
And it's Swope again, spinning and working hard, trying to get to the 35. He'll be stopped just shy. It's a gain of 3, second down. All right, here's a look at the bracket in the FCS. North Dakota State and Wofford at 3 Eastern today on ESPN3. That's going to be dynamic. The Bison with that great defense, #1 in every category nationally, and Wofford, they run the triple option.
That's right. That's something to consider, too, because if Southern advances here, well, you've already seen North Dakota State, if they're able to beat Wofford, they've gotten 1 extra week preparation versus the triple option.
McKinnon, the pitch. Here's Jonathan Bryant, first down and more along the sideline. And finally, steer wrestled down at the 5-yard line by Morant. Jonathan Bryant averages 9 yards per carry. Every time he touches it, he does something special.
And part of the reason why that is because the dive means something. You see the defense collapsing on the give to the B-back, the fullback. And then on the perimeter, we touched on it earlier, how important it is. You're Robinson getting low, tying up a defender just long enough. You see there, Paul Morant, whenever you have to reach down and play off a cut block, you can't pursue to make the tackle.
McKinnon, he'll keep it this time, nothing doing. Chris Burnett, Dominique Gwynn Bailey, that interior of the ODU defense ready for him. 126 yards, though, on the ground already for Georgia Southern.
And they've thrown it twice, for crying out loud. They're very diverse in their offensive approach. Look, it's not that surprising. As effective as this offense is at Georgia Southern, they think it's their offense. This is the offense of the Georgia Southern Screaming Eagles, and they run it very, very effectively. You see already piling up yards and another chance to score.
Second and goal from the 5, 7th play of the drive. Swope batters his way in. Touchdown, Georgia Southern. And they take the lead.
You see there, Brent Davis, the offensive coordinator for Georgia Southern, dialing up another unbalanced look. You've seen Tyler Sumner, the tight end position. They try to hit him on a pass. There does a good job sealing off the edge, able to provide enough room for Swope. Swope having a big game so far. That spells trouble for Old Dominion on defense.
Hanks with the extra point, and it's 14-7 Eagles. Swope now 8 carries for 69 yards in that touchdown. He is such a focal point of the offense. Some of the images from today in slow motion. But with these two teams on the field, it's high emotion. This is a rematch of a playoff meeting from a year ago. Georgia Southern won last year in the second round. This time it's at Ballard Stadium here in Norfolk. And Georgia Southern, as you look at the game trends, has the edge. And you got to credit the defense for giving the Eagles the edge.
Well, let's keep in mind, too, the rushing yards right here for Georgia Southern, not surprising. It's the 15 yards in the air that was able to keep a possession of the football. They were able to convert on their first offensive series. That's been the difference so far, where the Monarchs get stopped on downs. And now, of course, they open the game. I don't want to fast forward too far, Clay. But Georgia Southern gets the ball back in the second half. And in the game, if it's similar to last year, it's who gets the ball the most.
That's right. Now, the key play so far was that defensive stop by Georgia Southern and taking over on downs. From inside the 5-yard line, here's Aaron Evans on the return for Old Dominion. And gets to the 20-yard line. The 2012 NCAA Division I Football Championship continues next weekend with semifinal games on December 14th and 15th. Both games will be on the ESPN networks. For more information, go to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 89 NCAA championships. And the winner of this game will take on either North Dakota State or Wofford. Taylor Heineke, the record-setting quarterback, out of the gun on 1st and 10. Looking to the right, pumps, now throws. Incomplete. Vaughn, the intended receiver, second down.
When you look at Old Dominion, right now they're pushing the ball further downfield than I think anyone anticipated. Even in visiting with the coaches, they recognized and acknowledged that they're not necessarily a horizontal passing attack, but they are certainly more receive the ball, possess the ball, and then gain yardage after the catch. We're seeing Heineke push it downfield a little bit further than we anticipated.
And he's 0 for 4 passing on first downs. And here on second down, he's incomplete. So now 3rd and 10 as Pinkard can't come up with it.
Georgia Southern only brought 3. It was a 3-down line. And they're able to flood the route tree with all of these options for Heineke in the passing game. But when you've got 8 defenders floating around in the secondary, it's difficult to find open windows to put the football.
Boy, if Georgia Southern can force a punt or a turnover on downs again here on this series, they would really have the advantage. 3rd and 10, Heineke deep downfield. Contact again, ball comes out, incomplete. Blair Roberts had it and lost it. Darius Eubanks may have knocked it away.
Darius Eubanks was right there to make the play. He didn't get his head around. Of the PIs that we've seen, now that's clean. And in fact, Eubanks really makes the play after Roberts had his hands on the ball, gets his arm in there before Roberts could bring the ball into his body. Georgia Southern doing an excellent job. Defensive coordinator Jack Curtis mixing up their looks up front. That time brought zone pressure. Heineke able to get the ball off. Good defense in the secondary.
Jonathan Plisco, the left-footed punter. Only 27 punts this year, but when he has kicked, they've been good. And Georgia Southern will have it at the 35. 44-yard punt for Plisco. Advantage Eagles. News recently, Gus Malzahn going back to the Plains. What do you think of that move?
Well, you know, I was a little curious given the fact that he was on the coaching staff just a year ago, but the hire of Ellis Johnson, a defensive coordinator, I think, makes it a pretty darn good one.
Jerick McKinnon on first down, the quarterback, no gain for the Eagles. Chris Burnett, first team all-conference for Old Dominion, led all defensive linemen in the Colonial Athletic this year in tackles. And makes the stop for no gain.
Well, he's the guy that's going to have to start stepping up in the middle of the defense for Old Dominion. When we talk about, you know, how do you stop a triple option offense as multiple as Georgia Southern is? Well, the best way to do that is to not cede any ground in the interior portion of your defensive line. Chris Burnett, he's got the beef to do that. He's going to have to start shoring up both of those A-gaps on either side of the center.
McKinnon, the pitch. Darian Robinson, big gainer. One man to beat. And knocked out of bounds inside the 15-yard line by Reggie Owens. Robinson, who had that big catch on fourth down earlier in the first quarter, now a big run of 51 yards.
And that's the brutality of the option offense. And you see here, all that bodies all in the middle of the defense. You commit to the dive, you stop the run inside out. It's a tightly strung economy on a football field. You take from one area, there's going to be a deficiency in the other. And in the option offense, you take defenders from the edge and you commit them to the center of your defense, you get gashed on the perimeter.
Here comes the option again. Robinson gets the pitch, and this time he's hemmed in. Still makes something out of nothing. Lunges ahead to the 10 and picks up 5. Penalty flags down. Might have got a chop blocker first of the game.
Block in the back. Offense, number 90. 10-yard penalty. Repeat. First down.
Instead, it's an illegal block in the back. Georgia Southern has been known to be called for a chop block occasionally. It just kind of goes hand in hand with the way they run this offense.
Well, we talk about the size of this offensive front for Georgia Southern. You see here, you know, when you're ever a ball carrier reverses field, yeah, and you see it's Dominic Swope just coming in there trying to keep his running back mate clean. Whenever you reverse field like that, the block in the back is prone to happen.
Fourth penalty against Georgia Southern now. 1st and 20. McKinnon, nothing.
Alex Johnson there. You know, and you look at it, and you saw earlier on one of the bigger plays, the indecision that can be created when you're a defensive end facing the triple option. And Alex Johnson's a big, long, linear guy, a guy who can get upfield. But the challenge is versus this offense is knowing where to commit. You take the pitch man, you take the quarterback. The challenge for Georgia Southern, of course, is that even though they can hit big plays, you get behind in the down and distance, they're like just any other offense, trying to pick up 20 yards at a time.
McKinnon hit and dropped. Alex Johnson, the defensive end, 2 big plays back to back. This one for a loss of 2. Now it's going to be 3rd and a mile.
We just talked about it. Alex Johnson, he does a great job. He collapses right into the mesh. You'll see him right here. And the decision happens too fast for McKinnon. You see him right there where they mesh with the B-back coming downhill. And he crashes right now. McKinnon unable to pull it, and there's not enough time to pitch.
Georgia Southern's defense has had 2 big stops today. ODU's defense looking for its first. And a timeout called for by the Eagles. Jeff Monken wanting to talk things over with Brent Davis and Jerick McKinnon. A big 3rd down coming up when we come back to Norfolk. Jeff Monken doesn't have a lot of plays in his playbook for 3rd and 22. 14-7, Georgia Southern with the lead. A couple of great defensive plays back-to-back by the Monarchs defense.
You see there, it's Alex Johnson. You're taking on cut blocks at the point of attack and then blowing up the mesh. When you see this triple option, when they're trying to get down the line of scrimmage, there's just not enough time to make a decision when you've got a defensive end in your lap.
So Jerick McKinnon, after the timeout, you can see that passing-wise, just don't do it a lot. 37 attempts coming into the day. He's got 2 so far today, 1 completion. Now a 3rd and 22, and this ODU defense desperately needs to get off the field. You can't allow Georgia Southern to go up 2 touchdowns. They draw, swope, up the middle, dumped, short of the 20. Now 4th down. Caleb Taylor on the tackle.
Great job by Caleb Taylor. Now you look, it's most offenses, it's an obvious passing down. You had to know, though, Bill D, the defensive coordinator for Old Dominion, coaching up his charges, to recognize Georgia Southern's not prone to push the football downfield and try to get a big completion here. Great job by Taylor staying home.
Alex Hanks has had trouble kicking field goals this year for Georgia Southern. 7 of 16 along of 48, this from 37. But he has 6 misses inside 30 yards this year. It's been a tough year for Hanks. And now flags. And that's going to be a delay of game.
Offense, number 47. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
When you have a lack of success with your field goal unit, you don't want to kick a lot of field goals. You don't get a lot of practice at it, even in game situations, and now takes you even further out of what would be a comfortable run.
It might be better, though, for Hanks. He's had 3 blocked this year. He's actually better from longer distances. Now from 43. Kick is up. And it is no good. And Old Dominion's defense finally shuts out Georgia Southern on a possession.
Some big plays. We're talking about Alex Johnson from his defensive end position. Was able to create the scenario that led to this field goal attempt for Georgia Southern. You've got to keep in mind the block in the back that kind of stymied some of the momentum that had developed. See, Hanks, he got plenty of leg on this one, it looked like. It just ekes left of the upright. And now we've seen defensive stops in this ballgame, something you didn't see a lot of the last time these 2 teams played.
Now the first defensive stop came in the 4th quarter in a 55-48 shootout. Heineke on 1st down, has a man, caught! Antonio Vaughn! Touchdown, Old Dominion! He got a step on Nick Wright.
We've seen it all game long, and we've mentioned it. Old Dominion, they felt like they had some opportunity outside. Clearly they felt that way. Opportunities versus man coverage. We've seen receivers get steps on the outside defenders. That time it was Nick Wright. Taylor Heineke, after a previous series where he struggled to complete passes, hits a home run ball.
And Brown tacks on the extra point, and Old Dominion has tied it at 14.
See, there's Vaughn singled up on Nick Wright. Georgia Southern brings 4. Heineke able to step up into the pocket. And you see, once you get a step on the defender with no safety deep to assist, Nick Wright knows he's on an island over here. Vaughn able to get separation. Wright tries to sell out for a trip. Vaughn's able to get it all the way into the end zone. And Heineke, a little bit of redemption after a previous series. You see there's a push for, there's a late push for a Heisman candidacy. Unfortunately, the invitations have already been mailed.
He'd have a hard time getting from Norfolk to the show tonight anyway.
They got through for 700 yards versus New Hampshire. He's put up some numbers. All that matters in this ball game, though, you see Bobby Wilder, he recognizes it. You got to be able to get the scores when you can after a defensive stop.
They've only had 29 home games here in Norfolk, Virginia since the ODU program came back, and they've had 29 sellouts. No wonder Conference USA saw this as a beautiful spot and invited them to join their conference starting in 2014.
Well, and they've enjoyed success really since year one. Bobby Wilder talked about it. The kids in this program, the ones that have been with him for 4 years, the seniors, they don't know anything but winning. They're winning 8, 9, 10 games a year.
On a bounce, J.J. Wilcox. Decent return, a stiff arm. And run out of bounds near the 20. Program timelines, you can see that both of these programs are young. Georgia Southern under the legendary Erk Russell came back in the early 80s. Old Dominion just in year number 4. Now, you see the question mark for Georgia Southern. They have decided that they are going to make the move to the FBS. The students approved a fee increase to finance the move. There are some rumors of maybe joining the Sun Belt Conference. They're still waiting for an official conference invitation. Meanwhile, Old Dominion has the invitation. They're going to be FBS independent next year. And now you can see that it's getting a little heated down on the playing surface.
A little frustration. We can see the kind of tension rising as this game's knotted up at 14.
McKinnon to Darian Robinson. Sidesteps 1, 2 tacklers, but then a swarm of Monarchs come in for a loss of 1. Led by Caleb Taylor and Alex Johnson. Both of those guys have been very active here in the first half.
We see Alex Johnson, he was able to force the pitch, and Caleb Taylor able to get sideline to sideline. It's the big challenge versus these types of offenses when you've got offensive linemen, you've got receivers, running backs diving at your knees, is getting off blocks and running to the football. Old Dominion doing an excellent job of getting to where the football ends up and making a play.
Swope might get 2. 3rd and long coming up. There's Chris Burnett again, the senior out of Baltimore. A week from today, FBS Bowl season starts with the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl right here on ESPN.
You see there, Santa Moore, the center for Georgia Southern. Burnett, some of these other, the interior offensive front. You see a late substitution now with Sumner, Tyler Sumner coming in for the tight end spot. They'll likely go unbalanced, I think, here just to see if they can create a crease in the defensive front that's figured it out.
Play clock down to 2. They're going to have trouble getting this off, and they got a timeout just before the play clock expired.
You see it there, timeout taken. It was late substitution. You see an Old Dominion, they're starting to figure things out a little bit there. The first couple of pitches, the first down, you try the edge. Johnson does a good job. Taylor makes the tackle, and then they shore up the A-gaps right alongside where Dominique Swope enjoyed a lot of success earlier in this ball game to force this 3rd down situation.
Reminder, the bracket already has 1 team in the semifinals. That's Sam Houston State. It was 19 degrees with the wind chill last night at Bozeman. Sam Houston State comes up from Texas and knocks off the 3 seed in Montana, despite the snow and everything. And North Dakota State will take on Wofford later this afternoon. The winner of that game will play the winner of this game right here in Norfolk.
Fighting a good team, fighting the elements. Kind of hard to simulate 19 degrees in Texas. Old Dominion again. We talked about a key stop before versus Southern, where they're aided by a penalty. This time, they did a good job in their front 7 forcing this 3rd down.
3rd and 8. McKinnon wants to throw for the 3rd time. Now in trouble. Hit. Gets away. Looking downfield. Incomplete. Mitchell Williford, the closest receiver, and now 4th down.
We've seen it twice. They force these longs, these 3rd and long scenarios. They're not comfortable. It's just not where their comfort zone is. You see the motion. And McKinnon wants to get the ball downfield. Great coverage, nowhere to go with the football. Even Williford, who's working for his quarterback. You see McKinnon able to keep this play alive. He's a running back who can throw at times. much less a passer that can run like they have in Heineke.
Luke Cherry with the first punt for Georgia Southern of the day. Last year, the Eagles didn't punt when they played the Monarchs in the playoffs. And it takes a nice Georgia Southern roll to the 25-yard line. A punt of 53 yards for Luke Cherry. Taylor Heineke and the Old Dominion offense has some momentum right now with 6:15 to go before half.
A big play, one-play drive, get into the end zone, but they haven't been able to get in rhythm, per se. Last couple of possessions, and prior to that touchdown pass, the big one, this offense has been a little bit disjointed. Georgia Southern having their own successes on the defensive side of the ball.
Colby Goodwin, junior out of Hampton, Virginia, brought down by Olbeck, a gain of 3. Heineke has been compared to Drew Brees physically. He's not very tall, about 6 foot, 195 pounds. Big arm, though, and we saw it on that last series.
An accurate passer. When the stature is there, the skill set is similar. The smart kid as well.
2nd and 7 for Heineke. Pressure from the edge, steps up in the pocket, lobs it short, and it's caught by Goodwin. First down and more, out to the 45. Olbeck, the veteran of that linebacking corps, tackles him from behind. It's a gain of 17 and a first down for ODU.
And once again, Georgia Southern, they get pressure as the pocket collapses. Brent Russell able to just walk him back into the quarterback.
First down, same play for Goodwin as they ran on first down before. Olbeck makes the tackle for no gain, so 2nd down and 10. Heineke won the Dudley Award as the top Division I football player in the state of Virginia. It was unanimous, and that's including all the players at Tech, at the University of Virginia, at Richmond. It's been quite a year for Taylor Heineke. He'll look to the outside, throws, and again underthrown. Incomplete, but another penalty flag. He's trying to hit Vaughn. There's a marker on the play.
I think we're probably going to end up with a holding here. We visited with Brian Scott, the offensive coordinator, also the offensive line coach. They want to be secure inside out.
Holding. Offense. Number 78. 10-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
That's the right guard, DJ Morrell.
No idea. I think it's probably on the right tackle, Robbie Duncan. Yeah, what you see there, he kind of traps the defensive end's hands and guides him down to the ground. That was Rashad Williams trying to get upfield. That was one of the concerns Coach Scott expressed to us, is how the tackles would hold up versus some pretty good pass rushers on the edge for Georgia Southern.
So now 2nd and 20. Number 1 passing offense in the country, Old Dominion. It's nothing for them to pick up 20 yards. Heineke, deep, has a man. Another big play for Mayers. Down at the 21-yard line. Darius Eubanks and Deion Stanley in coverage, but no contest. Mayers with a gain of 43.
And look at this pickup. Great job cross-reading all the way across. Colby Goodwin able to pick up Deion DeBose.
Now Heineke on the keeper. And he'll walk out at the 13-yard line. A gain of 9 for Heineke. Monarchs back in the red zone. Penalty flag down. Here's Goodwin making his way inside the 5. We'll see if this one comes back. It'll be first down and goal, but this may go against ODU.
I believe they're going to have too many men on the field for Georgia Southern. The tempo catching up with the Eagles.
Substitution. Offense, number 33. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
12 men on the field for Georgia Southern, and you're right. The key for this defense was to slow ODU down, and right now, obviously having trouble with it.
A little clarification there. The referee confused 33 on the offense. He meant 33 on the defense, and you're right. not only the big plays, but also Georgia Southern defensively, because they weren't able to possess the football for very long on their previous offensive snaps. Defense gets right back on the football field. They rattle off quick plays. They get a big hitter. They're able to substitute in time to get a free first down and an extra 5 yards.
7th play of the drive, 1st and goal. Goodwin. And no gain. And again, some pushing and shoving. Yeah, again, this 2nd year in a row that these teams have met in the postseason. They know each other pretty well.
DJ Morrell, get an opportunity to take some frustrations out. They throw the football out of Old Dominion. Not often that he gets to push a guy over a pile. But once again, big play and a penalty that gets Old Dominion into this position at 2nd and goal.
Old Dominion has had the same starting 5 up front all year, Morrell included. On 2nd down and goal, Heineke to the end zone. Caught, touchdown, Nick Mayers. #15th touchdown for Mayers. He is 5th nationally among receivers.
Nick Mayers, he's very nifty. That's the best way I can describe him. He's not a big guy, but he's quick out of his breaks. He's working on Deion Stanley there. Giving free access into the end zone. Taylor Heineke knows where to go with the football. Nick Mayers, one of his favorite targets in a passing attack where there's a number of different places to go with the football. See Old Dominion with the big play, able to get over top of the Georgia Southern secondary. And then when they get down into the red zone, able to stick it in. Nick Mayers, they play him outside, but they play him in the slot. He's got to be a nightmare in coverage when he's playing out of the slot inside.
There's Heineke. 3 touchdowns today, 2 passing, 1 on the ground. He's already over 200 yards passing. He is something else. We talked about it before. In one game this season, he threw for a Division I record 730 yards and 5 touchdowns in that win over New Hampshire back in September. Think about that. 730 yards passing. They couldn't stop him.
Yeah, it's hard for me to wrap my head around it, really. I mean, you're looking at it. It would have been a record at any level of football. I wonder how many hours he had to soak his arm after that one. Because this guy, he's thrown a lot of passes this season, and he's been the key to what they've done offensively ever since Bobby Wilder got here. They recognized they want to go up-tempo, they want to throw the football. They got the guy that they need to do that, trigger man, with Heineke.
Needs just 3 more yards to break Steve McNair's 18-year-old FCS record for passing in a season. And we expect that he'll do that on the next series. Wilcox, ball comes out. And Georgia Southern appears to have recovered at the 17-yard line. And now it's really getting out of control down there. Bodies everywhere, pushing, shoving, pulling. And the officials have to get control.
I'll tell you, we were actually talking about a graphic earlier in this game. It was after a score. I was surprised there weren't offsetting penalties at the very least. There's been a couple of outbreaks in this ball game. And you're right, Clay. Off this fumble, the helmet right on the ball. Wilcox coughs it up. Robinson right there to recover. Edwin Jackson ends up coming up with it for Georgia Southern. But then there's a lot going on in a pile. There always is with the loose ball. But prior to this, there's been a lot of extracurricular stuff that needs to be negated. Officials need to squash that quickly.
Antonio Glover had that for a moment for Old Dominion and couldn't hold on to it. A break for the Eagles as they start at their own 17. And 3:23 to go before halftime. Officials trying to get control. You can see Greg Wilson giving the marching orders here.
After that last touchdown, Coach Bobby Wilder, head coach at Old Dominion, got David Bourne's ear, his offensive guard, to let him know they got to temper some of their emotions.
Quinn Bailey, a loss of 3, and Old Dominion has all the momentum.
Well, right now, Chris Burnett, Dominique Quinn Bailey asserting themselves in the middle of the defense, something that they struggled with early in this half.
Robinson out at the 22. Craig Wilkins makes the tackle with 2:42 to go. Let's go to the studio for an update.
All right, guys, Reese Davis with you here in the studio. Coming up at halftime, we'll get you a look at what's in store in the FCS playoffs. Also, some major coaching news from the FBS division we'll get you up to date on. Heisman Trophy is awarded tonight. We'll look at the 3 finalists, take you down to New York for a visit, and a big day in the Big Ten in basketball. A couple of teams already in action. Highlights on the way when you come back to halftime.
All right, Reese, thank you. 2.5 to go. 3. Jerick McKinnon picking his way. Big gainer. And down to the 43-yard line. A gain of 35 for the Georgia Southern quarterback.
Once again, we see Georgia Southern opting to an unbalanced offensive front. We talked about it earlier. This time they run away from where the extra lineman is, and McKinnon makes an excellent job. They get the read, and then they get to the edge, and you've got 2 options. And you see the patience. Garrett Fry out in front, able to escort his quarterback to pick up the additional yardage and a key 3rd down conversion.
228 rushing yards now for the #1 offense on the ground. Dominique Swope will get 3 more, 2nd down. As we're at 1:48, to go before halftime. This is such an important drive for the Eagles. They've got to get points.
And keeping in mind, Georgia Southern will get the ball back to open up the second half. We still got a minute and a half to play in this one. So they'll get their possessions to where it's back even. But they forfeited an opportunity with the stops versus Old Dominion, unable to convert it into points with the missed field goal to play.
Bryant stretched to the sideline, and Wilkins runs him down. No gain. So now a 3rd down and 6. And Jeff Monken thinking about his next play.
We've seen Monken, they tried the midline earlier in this possession. We've seen Old Dominion try the option in 4th down situations. We've seen him attempt to pass now. But Jerick McKinnon and this offense, they're capable of picking up this type of yardage. They've proven to pick up big gains even if running.
Robinson wants to throw, goes back to McKinnon. Caught. 1st down, Georgia Southern.
Tell you what, Jeff Monken has been in this offense a long time. And he's kind of been steeped in it. It's more of an art than it is a science. So many different things that you can do with it. If your quarterback can't throw it well, then why not give a wide receiver, Mitchell Williford, or maybe a A-back and Darian Robinson an opportunity to deliver it? Jerick McKinnon's a great ball player, even a good receiver on a 3rd down conversion here.
4th pass today for Georgia Southern. They go right back to what they do best. McKinnon keeps inside the 15. As the clock is moving with 25 seconds to go, quickly above the ball. And they spike it. 21 to go before half. And it's going to bring up 3rd down and 1.
Because it goes without saying, but in a run-oriented offense, those timeouts are especially precious. When you think about some situations, 2-minute scenarios, you're passing the football, an incomplete pass can be your friend if you have downs to use. Versus Georgia Southern, when it's difficult at times, and you know that one of your best plays is an inside run, you've got to sit on that timeout if you can. Georgia Southern's got 1 left, 21 seconds to play.
19th playoff appearance for Georgia Southern. 6 national titles, the most of anybody. Seeking their 13th semifinal appearance. McKinnon! Boy, it's going to be close. Johnson made the tackle, but it appears McKinnon got enough for the 1st down.
You can see Georgia Southern quick to line up, get back over the football. They're going to probably spike it again here. This ball's going to be whistled in play.
And they do. 15 seconds to go before half.
Once again here, Georgia Southern, The field goal's not their A plan. Truth be told, they've had difficulties. And the other thing, of course, is that with Old Dominion and the capacity that they've shown in this ball game for the big play. We talk about the dink and dunk of this passing offense of the Monarchs. That hasn't been the case. In fact, the dink and dunk, the underneath passing, the shorter routes, Georgia Southern's done a good job tackling. They can get yardage in chunks. The Eagles need to get a touchdown here, not just because field goal kicking isn't their forte.
They got to get a playoff. They did with 1 second to go, and they're going to pass. McKinnon lobs it to the end zone, incomplete. Zach Walker, the leading receiver, was in the area but was overthrown out of bounds. So now with 9 seconds to go, it's third down.
And they had what they wanted. They had Tyler Sumner, the tight end, right away. But Jared McKinnon, not adept to dropping back and passing. I don't think he got his head around quick enough and downfield. Smart to throw the football away, though. The coverage was there because the pass wasn't on time.
Georgia Southern had the advantage with 2 defensive stops in that first quarter. Old Dominion could have the lead, though, at halftime. Georgia Southern 4 of 6 on third down today. McKinnon out of his comfort zone, looking to throw again. Incomplete. And Aaron Evans, great coverage, 3 seconds to go. And fourth down.
Again, trying to get the ball to Sumner, their tight end, in the end zone. No time left to check it down, though. Darian Robinson was there, as it is, settling for a field goal attempt. We talked about it. This is not automatic.
Luke Cherry is going to come on to attempt the field goal. Alex Hanks missed earlier today, and now they'll bring on Cherry, who's the kickoff specialist, to attempt a field goal. Old Dominion wants to ice it. This would be a 30-yard attempt for Cherry.
Give Cherry an opportunity to think about it a little bit. I think everybody understands what's at stake here and the gravity of getting points when you get your opportunities. Regardless of if it's a big play, a one-play drive, and getting in the end zone, when you get down here in the red zone, you come away with points. Luke Cherry, he's in a nice punt, got a great roll earlier. He's given place-kicking duties and an opportunity here to give his team a chance to narrow the margin.
This will be the first field goal attempt of the year for Cherry. Ryan Nowicki and Alex Hanks have been doing the place-kicking this year. And it kind of gives you an idea of where Coach Monken is at when it comes to his kicking game. He talked about it, how displeased he was with the field goal unit.
Well, he was fired up that they hit a field goal a week ago.
There's Hanks on the sideline. He watches as Cherry will attempt a 30-yarder. First career field goal attempt for Luke Cherry.
There were 2 blocked kicks in this matchup last season.
No good. And the half ends. Old Dominion will take a 21-14 lead into the locker room.
We talk about holding serve. Georgia Southern, 3 possessions, 2 missed field goals, and a punt. You see Luke Cherry as he swings through the football and just pulls it left. And you mentioned it, Clay, his first attempt of the season. See Bobby Wilder, the head coach of Old Dominion, he recognizes that his defense has come up with a key stop on a punt and 2 missed field goals, and he's able to keep a lead in the half.
21-14, Old Dominion with the lead after 1 half. We're going to send you to Sports Center for the halftime report. Here's Reese Davis. Jared Brown to kick off for Old Dominion. And he won't put it in the end zone. J.J. Wilcox from inside the 5 spins out close to the 26 or 27-yard line. 21-yard return for Wilcox. All right, first half stats. No surprise, Georgia Southern piling them up on the ground and Old Dominion through the air. Time of possession, even though Georgia Southern has the advantage, they're down on the scoreboard because of some missed opportunities.
Yeah, they were able to drive the ball at times. One of the touchdown drives was probably quicker than they would have liked, around 2 minutes. Otherwise, though, possessing the football but coming away with no points isn't good enough when your other opponent is scoring quicker.
Jarek McKinnon will keep it. And a run of about 4 yards, maybe 5 on first down. Georgia Southern, no yards or less on 9 carries in that first half. Tell you what, the defense for ODU, especially right up front, did a good job on McKinnon and company.
Yeah, you know, you could see it change because early on there was opportunity inside running the football. Dominique Swope having his way with the defensive front, offensive line providing creases. When that changed, so did the defensive fortunes of Old Dominion in the first half.
Darian Robinson, the A-back, limped off. They give it to the B-back, Dominique Swope. First down to the 40. All right, let's go to that defensive interior for ODU.
And this is Dominique Quinn Bailey, and you see the penetration right away. It's not only just getting movement, and then Alex Johnson, he's going to chase this play down from the backside. McKinnon, you can't read a guy that you can't see. And then here, this is triple option. Johnson is the pitch man. He forces the pitch. And then Gerald Wilkins able to get outside, stop the progress of Darian Robinson until Caleb Taylor and the Cavalry would get there in time to clean him up.
The Eagles on first down. It's Swope again. Big run, first down and more. Changes field, now gets loose. And brought down at the 33-yard line. Dominique Swope, 31 carries, 255 yards, and a couple of touchdowns last year against Old Dominion. He's tough to bring down.
That time, great job and great movement up front on Chris Burnett, one of their big D tackles. Saint Amour, the center position, able to get push, and that opens up rush lanes for Swope to get upfield. A couple of missed tackles, which was a concern coming into this game for Old Dominion. They've had difficulty at times throughout the season getting runners on the ground.
McKinnon down the line will keep it. And he'll get a handful before Preston Smith and company there. Gain of 3.
See McKinnon, he's oftentimes going to keep the football. He is a threat. 13 carries in this ball game where he keeps it. We mentioned earlier he spent time as the A-back, the B-back, even the T-back that lines up in the slot. And they wanted to get him more touches, and the best way to do that is make him the hub of this triple option. They're touching every single offensive snap. And again, unbalanced offensive front for Georgia Southern.
Swope already over 100 yards, and now he has another first down. Let's take a look at the Northwestern Mutual game plan for success. The second half adjustments you expect these teams to make, Steve?
Well, you know, one of these things is what Old Dominion isn't doing. Take away the dive play already. Dominique Swope enjoying some success early in this half. You can see Georgia Southern staying with their offensive game plan. Old Dominion, when they do get the ball back, I think they should continue to challenge Georgia Southern in the secondary.
Opening series for the Eagles of the second half, and Swope ping-ponging his way inside the 20, down at the 16. Gain of 5 for Dominique Swope. You know, you got Swope and McKinnon. They remind a lot of Eagles fans of the quarterback, running back combination of the late 90s, Adrian Peterson and Greg Hill.
That's a nice combination. In fact, I think the last time they had 2 rushers go over 1,000 yards in the same season. And you see Caleb Taylor, another missed tackle, could have gotten Dominique Swope down without the additional yardage.
William Banks checks in, number 32 for Georgia Southern. They pitch it, though, to Robinson, who was shaken up moments ago. Good to see him back in. But the play is whistled there. And it's going to be illegal motion on Georgia Southern.
Offense, number 58, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
So you see Georgia Southern opening up with a strong drive, methodical runs, not like the big hitters, but penalties can be momentum killers. And we've already seen they're going to stay at least at the original line of scrimmage in this one. 2nd and 10, but when they get behind in the down and distance, that's when Coach Monken has to reach into his bag of tricks. You start seeing these running back throwbacks, quarterback throwbacks, wide receiver throwbacks.
McKinnon. The pitch. Bryant. Knocked down at about the 18-yard line by Aaron Evans. John Darr also there. It's a gain of 4. 11 minutes to go here in the third.
Great tackle by Aaron Evans. Blockers on his legs, able to make the play. And with what we've seen, the adventures and place kicking in this ball game, you have to imagine that Jeff Monken's thinking, you know what, this is 4-down territory.
Yep.
They might not be going for the full yardage needed for the first, just get close to the sticks.
4 of 7 on 3rd down. This is huge for the Eagles. McKinnon pitches it out to Butler, and he's dumped. Well short of the first down. Morant brings him down now 4th and long for the Eagles. And you're right, I think Monken's going to keep the field goal kicker right where he is.
Great play by Paul Morant. We just mentioned it earlier. Evans does a good job playing off blocks. Watch Paul Morant. He's going to take on the block, stay on his feet, and make the play. That's one of the things you have to do on the perimeter. Not only do you have to make tackles in space, but play off and fend off the cut blocks. He does an excellent job there.
McKinnon on 4th down. Throws and tipped and incomplete. Well covered by ODU, the intended receiver, the tight end Tyler Sumner. Knocked down, and ODU stands tall defensively on Georgia Southern's opening series, and they'll take over on downs. Big defensive stand by the Monarchs. And Heineke comes back out when we come back. Southern on the phone. They've got to figure it out offensively. 4 straight possessions, no points. They trail by 7.
You see Georgia Southern's unbalanced. This is Tyler Sumner here, and he's just going to find a soft spot in the zone. You'll see him block and release and just settle. And if the ball's delivered just a hair sooner and with less air underneath it, there's not enough time to make the play. Andre Simmons able to separate receiver from the ball.
Taylor Heineke and the ODU offense back out there. Heineke needs 4 yards to break Steve McNair's 18-year-old FCS record for passing yards in a season. He might do it right here, Stitch. No, I don't get the play. David Bourne, the left guard, moved.
False start. Offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
3rd penalty on the Monarchs.
Bunch of ways to stop Taylor Heineke, and that's one of them.
Yeah, right.
He's not going to break the record on a false start. Bobby Wilder, they're going to keep slinging the ball around. He could certainly get an opportunity. It's likely he breaks it in this game.
Heineke, incomplete, intended for Nick Mayers. Mayers 3 catches, 57 yards and a touchdown in the first half.
You see Heineke, we've seen it throughout the first half as well, where he has this ability to keep plays alive and string it out. That's not their forte, of course. Quicker hitting, passing, although they have hit some home run balls in this ballgame.
Throwing here on 2nd down and 15. Caught by Mayers. There's the record. And Mayers has a big gain, and he gets into Georgia Southern territory. 39 yards and a new record. Taylor Heineke passing Steve McNair.
Love the play call. Perfect timing. They caught Georgia Southern bringing pressure. Heineke's just able to dump the ball right over top of the blitz. We mentioned it earlier. Nick Mayers can make you miss in space. You hit him on a screen pass, he's got an opportunity to take it for a big gain.
Good one. Here's the new record. Taylor Heineke breaking Steve McNair's record set in 1994 for passing yards in a season.
I'll tell you what, he can credit his receivers as well. He delivers the ball where it needs to go, but his receivers pick up a lot of yards for him after they make the reception.
2nd and 5. Heineke flushed out. He's going to keep it himself. And he gets the first down out at the 35.
So sometimes they're in trips, sometimes they're in 2x2. There's Nick Mayers. You're going to see Georgia Southern. They bring pressure. And you see they do an excellent job. The offensive front releasing upfield. Josh Mann with a key block for the big game.
Goodwin again. "85 plays per game for ODU is what Bobby Wilder told us is his goal. Most of them, of course, passing. Seen quite a bit of run here on this series.
Well, some of the scrambles to keeping plays alive, that wears your horses out if you're Georgia Southern in the defensive front. That pass rush, you expend a lot of energy.
Heineke all day. Now he's going to run, and he's going to pick up another first down for the Monarchs. How about that? Taylor Heineke is smooth. 24 yards on his feet.
Well, sometimes you see the pressure, and Heineke's able to stay in the pocket. There's time. But part of the reason why you want to keep him on your upfield shoulder, could have been a coverage sack, because there's nowhere to go with the football downfield. You lose containment, Tyler Heineke able to step up and make him pay.
First and goal from the 5. Goodwin making his way to the end zone. Did he get it? Yes, touchdown. Touchdown, Old Dominion. And now they've got a 2-score lead.
This is what happened to Georgia Southern last year. They were able to go up 2 touchdowns in the second half. It was later in the ballgame than this. And that proved to be the difference. You have to think, rewinding to the opening possession, Georgia Southern marches right down the football field, and a false start stalls out that drive, and Old Dominion now able to go up 2 scores. They've gained a possession, and it really hasn't been the tic-tac game, the back-and-forth ping-pong match that we anticipated, but still yardage and scores piling up for Taylor Heineke, and the Old Dominion Monarchs.
To the FCS quarterfinal game between Old Dominion and Georgia Southern, presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. It has been a treat. Defense, surprisingly, has been the story in this game. Old Dominion's defense has stopped Georgia Southern on 4 straight Eagles possessions. They have a 2-touchdown lead now. And I have been so impressed. I know you have too, Matt. Taylor Heineke, the finalist for the Walter Payton Award, leading this Monarchs offense. And speaking of awards, the Heisman Trophy tonight on ESPN will be presented in New York. Who's going to join one of the game's most exclusive fraternities? The Heisman Trophy presented tonight at 8 on ESPN. Heineke for the Heisman? Not so sure that's going to happen, but I'll tell you what, we know that he could win the Payton Award. He's one of 3 finalists for that. That is the FCS version of the Heisman Trophy.
He's right there in the middle of it. And if there's any nominations being submitted from this crowd, he certainly would be in New York.
Jonathan Bryant needs to give Georgia Southern a spark. And he stood up just shy of the 40, but a good return for Bryant, the senior out of Cairo, Georgia. Georgia Southern, you can see their drive chart. Started hot. They have really sputtered the last 4 times they've had the ball.
You see the missed field goals there towards the end of the first half here and here. And then they opened up the second half and end up giving it up on downs on a 4th down conversion attempt. You know, they've been able to drive the football. They're able to move it down the field. We've seen penalties slow down this Georgia Southern attack on a couple of occasions.
McKinnon, the toss to Darian Robinson. Gets a nice block, first down. And then his momentum. And the tackler, Preston Smith, take him ahead 18 yards for a first down. Georgia Southern needs to stop the bleeding. 21 unanswered points by Old Dominion.
Well, they need to finish drives, and clearly they need to get it in the end zone because field goals are not an option. You know, I like that sweep play. You see it. You get a big blocker and Dorian Bird out in front and escort your ball carriers down the field.
First down, the option. Pitch. Bryant finds room on the outside. Won't get the first down, but a good carry on first down. Craig Wilkins, the weak side linebacker, 4th year as a captain. Leads the team in tackles, made the stop. Georgia Southern lost to North Dakota State in the quarterfinals last year. But prior to that, beat Old Dominion to advance in the postseason. This year, they're having a heck of a time here on the road. They need something on this drive. Swope. And they'll move the chains. Gildan, New Mexico Bowl next Saturday on ESPN. Nevada, Arizona. A chance to do that game last year. It's always fun when bowl season rolls around.
Yeah, you get some great matchups. You know, you look at it last year, about half of the non-BCS bowls were decided by a touchdown or less. A lot of them really competitive ball games in the postseason.
Albuquerque, just a beautiful spot, too. On the toss sweep to Butler, first down. Trey Butler, one of 6 different players rushing for 33 yards per game or more. I mean, they've got a slew of guys to carry the football.
Yeah, we mentioned Taylor Heineke and his weapons in the passing game. It's similar for Georgia Southern on the ground. Jarrett McKinnon, you look at the play caller and Brent Davis, he's got options in this run game. You know, you've got a number of different ball carriers that you got to get their touches because they can all break one for you.
McKinnon, nice pitch. Scott lost the football. Still loose. And Butler recovered for a Georgia Southern touchdown. Well, that's one way to do it. The Eagles having trouble getting it in the end zone. They recover their own fumble for the score.
Usually, Georgia Southern is pitching it either laterally or backwards. They don't always pitch it forward. You see it there, an unintentional one, of course, to get it into the end zone. You know, and rightfully so, being recovered by Trey Butler. I believe he was the one with the key block on the perimeter that sprung Devin Scott. And yet again, another playmaker in the option offense. Scott coughs it up going in across the goal line. Credit Trey Butler for trailing the play.
And they bring Hanks on for the extra point. 5 plays, 60 yards in just over 2 minutes. Georgia Southern, almost a terrible mistake, and it turns into a fortuitous bounce. The Eagles score. They absolutely had to have a touchdown, and they got it. And now it's a 7-point game again here in Norfolk. Georgia Southern Eagles scoring for the first time in 5 possessions in spite of themselves. Devin Scott, his first touch of the game, likely his last.
Yeah, they're not going to tolerate that. Now, Georgia Southern, they'll put the ball on the ground, but it's largely due to ball handling. A lot that goes on with the many different options that happen in their backfield. This time, though, as you're crossing the goal line, you forfeit potentially another scoring opportunity. That's not missed field goals. That's not turning it over on downs. Trey Butler was able to redeem that drive, though. They were able to play cleanly that time, no flags. Able to finally get it in the end zone. You had to know there's a little bit of anxiety building up on the Georgia Southern sideline. Can they actually get points off of some of this offensive production?
Line drive kick fielded by Aaron Evans, the junior out of Newport News, to the 26-yard line. 23-yard return. Heineke, already a record set today, trying to get his team to the semifinals. North Dakota State, Wofford, coming up at 3 Eastern. You can see that on ESPN3. Sam Houston State already in the semis. Eastern Washington and Illinois State at 6 Eastern. Wofford, we talked about, they've got a triple option attack. It is so hard to prepare for. Now, teams in the SoCon, they have an advantage. 3 teams in that league run it.
Yeah, they'll see it up here, though, in the Colonial Athletic Conference Association. They just don't see that type of attack.
Heineke whizzes one to the 35-yard line. Vaughn had to get down to get it, made the catch. Vaughn, Mayers, Pinkard, Roberts. There are so many guys in that receiving core that are impressive.
You know, he gets the completion, and Heineke's breaking records, but he's paying the price for it. You see Dion DeBose on a couple of occasions able to get to the passer. And as we mentioned, there was some concern by the coaching staff. They felt they could hold up inside, and they wanted to make sure they did versus number 66, Brent Russell of Georgia Southern. But their concern was some of the speed rush. And could Georgia Southern get to the passer without having to commit additional blitzers?
Now Now they'll bring out the sticks to measure. Got it at the nose of the football. Some game trends from today.
Well, it looks about like what we anticipated, frankly. I mean, when you look at it, the time of possession dominated by Georgia Southern. Tons of rushing yards being piled up by the Eagles. And, of course, conversely, Old Dominion able to rack up the yardage through the pass, 8.6 yards per play. What's surprising is how many yards per play Georgia Southern can get running the football the way that they do at 7.6.
Mayers in the flat. And Georgia Southern ready for it. Deion Stanley, freshman all-conference last year. Nickelback makes the stop. It's just a 1-yard gain. A lot of nickel and dime defensive looks for Georgia Southern today.
Those type plays were what we were more anticipated coming in this ball game, as opposed to some of the deeper vertical passes that Old Dominion's had success with.
Heineke on 2nd and 9. Throws. Man wide open, and it's Pinker. Gets out of one tackle, finally brought down, but he's in plus territory. It's Stanley again on the stop, but it's a gain of 15. First down, Monarchs.
Well, Pinker was one that they felt like one of the targets out wide, specifically when he's lined up in the slot, that he's really come on in their passing game.
All the time to throw. Mayers. Beautiful run after the catch, another first down. This offensive line for Old Dominion, it's been the same starting 5 all year. They give Heineke all the time he wants and more.
And you see the protection, and now this is where Heineke can get streaky. He can get in a rhythm. The coaches were talking about it. You give him space like that and a clean pocket to work.
Go back to Goodwin, and he'll eke out a couple. Talked about Heineke, one of 3 finalists for the Peyton Award. Georgia Southern running back Adrian Peterson won it as a sophomore in 1999. He's the only other classman to win it. Heineke, as a sophomore, could win that award. Heineke looking to throw. Now some pressure, steps up. What a play by Heineke. Finds Blair Roberts for another first down. Eluded the pressure, stepped up, hit Roberts on the run.
A little pace, maybe catching up with Georgia Southern. Stevenson missed a tackle on the previous play. This time Stanley once again in coverage. Blair Roberts able to come down with the catch after Heineke extends the play and escapes some of the pressure.
That was the first catch for Roberts in the red zone. First down and 10. Back to the ground and Goodwin. And he's stacked up at about the 8-yard line. The Peyton Award will be presented in Philadelphia on December 17th. Eric Breitenstein, a senior fullback at Wofford. Miguel Mason, a senior running back from Stony Brook, are the other finalists. Peyton Award finalist throws, caught, touchdown! What a catch by Nick Mayers, and he got the pylon. 8-yard touchdown pass, Heineke to Mayers, and it's 34-21.
See Mayers, once again, we talked about how difficult he can be to cover, working on A.J. McCray in the slot. And once again, able to find and create a little bit of space for Heineke to deliver the football.
Extra point by Jared Brown, and he hasn't missed a PAT this year. Now 73 for 73 on PATs as Mayers got the touchdown, his second of the day.
Well, Heineke didn't even put it really where he wanted it. Turns his receiver all the way around. Mayers able to adjust to the ball in the air and still maintain his balance enough to get in the end zone.
You talked about it, man. Heineke is starting to hit that streak now. He's hit his last 7 passes, and with those passes, 107 yards and a touchdown.
Well, the coaches mentioned it. Well, he kind of gets in a groove. Not that he has difficulty, obviously, throughout the season. But here we've seen him drop some dimes on this secondary. Big hitters, over the top. Nick Mayers has done an excellent job in the short game breaking tackles and getting ways to get open and finding ways to get in the end zone. Once they get into the red zone area, giving his quarterback somewhere to go with the football, you can see why he's one of their favorite targets.
Georgia Southern thought that they put out the fire with that break that they got in the end zone, recovering their own fumble to at least stop the bleeding. But then Heineke comes back with his Monarchs offense and does that.
You know, once again, too, we mentioned that Georgia Southern, they want to score when they're on offense, but they don't want to score too quickly. I mean, you can see there's some substitution issues for Southern on the defensive side of the ball. And that last drive just now, they give their defense a chance to catch a blow. You don't want to score in 2 minutes and change. See if you can't possess the football a little bit longer, give your defense recovery.
Bryant lost the football. Penalty flags fly. Who got it? Let's see who recovered that. That might have been a beanbag thrown and not a penalty flag. J.J. Wilcox recovered it for Georgia Southern. Now maybe there is a flag after all. Greg Wilson is talking about it with his officiating crew.
And we mentioned it earlier, Clay. Because of the nature of the offense, there's a lot of ball handling. Does the B-back keep the ball on the pitches? The ball can get a little bit loose. And so Georgia Southern, they've had fumbles, but they recover a lot of them. They've had 30+ that they've actually fumbled.
Return. Legal block in the back. Return team, number 46. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Georgia Southern recovers their fumble, but they are penalized.
C46 there, just coming in. A nudge is enough. Not even close, really. Regardless, Georgia Southern just happy to maintain possession of the ball here. And the penalty is something they're willing to absorb, knowing that they can't afford to no longer answer score for score. Especially with Old Dominion now up these 2 touchdowns.
Where's field position to start a drive of the day for Georgia Southern? From their own 14. McKinnon keeps it around the corner. Finds a blocker and some room. And pulled down at the 35-yard line by John Darr. Boy, he's fun to watch. ESPN College Football available anytime, anywhere on your computer or mobile device via WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. Jerick McKinnon, 5 straight 100-yard rushing games. And he's at 72 today on 14 carries. 1st and 10 from the 37. Swope right up the middle. And that bulldozer of a B-back, as they call him, picks up 4.
There's nothing but knees and elbows blowing up into that line of scrimmage. And Alex Johnson, defensive end, who had a pretty strong second half or second quarter where he was closing in, does a good job on the pitch. That time, he got an arm full of nothing but rolling ball of butcher knives. Swope does a good job of getting yards, even with tackles all over.
Swope again, 1st down and more. To the 42 of Old Dominion. Now the Eagles needed that. Volante Misher finally makes the tackle. That's a gain of 17.
You see Swope again, able to get up inside. Dominique Gwynn-Bailey had an opportunity. We talked about how strong they need the play to be with the 2 interior defensive tackles for Old Dominion. And right now, Georgia Southern having success inside.
McKinnon down the line. And it's going to be about a half-yard pickup. Wilkins read that beautifully. Jeff Monken, the 3rd-year head coach at Georgia Southern, followed Paul Johnson to Navy and Georgia Tech after his time in Statesboro as an assistant, brought back before the 2010 season as head coach. And he has really re-energized the program that was built by Erk Russell.
Yeah, well, he brought back the triple option, and that's kind of the Georgia Southern identity. They've got 6 FCS championships to show for it.
Trey Butler gets the corner. Big gain, and he might get the end zone. And he is going to be marked out at about the 5 by Carvin Powell, who spun him around to make the tackle, a gain of 36. First and goal for Georgia Southern.
You know, this offense, the offensive line's job, they get movement inside, but keep your quarterback clean. This time on the fly sweep, Darian Robinson does a great job on a perimeter block. You'll see him right here. Great block. Being able to get the defender off his feet. That's what springs for the big run.
444 yards on the ground for the Eagles. Swope upended at the 3. Second down as we're under 10 seconds to go here in the third quarter. And that'll likely be the final play. Now, we knew this was going to be a very good football game, and it has been. But Jeff Monken's team is down going into the fourth quarter by a couple of scores. Jarek McKinnon, can he lead the Eagles back? Georgia Southern 7-0 this season when rushing for over 400 yards. They've already done that, but they're down. One to watch in Norfolk, Virginia today, 35-21 Old Dominion. The 4 seed leading the 5 seed Georgia Southern as we go to the 4th. Old Dominion already over 300 yards passing. Georgia Southern already over 400 yards rushing. They both lead the nation in those respective statistics. Jarek McKinnon, the quarterback for the Eagles of Georgia Southern, under center and down the line on the option. He'll keep it. Touchdown. Jarek McKinnon. The touchdown run from 4 yards out. His second touchdown today.
Another one where you're able to answer. We talk about these two quarterbacks, what they mean to the fortunes of their respective teams. Jarek McKinnon making the decisions when to keep, when to pitch, when to give, and on that one it made the most sense for him to just hang on to the football. Georgia Southern's best playmaker able to get in and answer the score. Still a touchdown down to the Monarchs.
Winner of this game moves on to the national semifinals. It's a 1-score difference here in Norfolk, Virginia, between the Eagles and the Monarchs. With Notre Dame cap a 13-0 season for the championship.
It's been a long dry spell for Notre Dame, huh? Last time they did it was, what, 88? Tony Rice running the option like Jarek McKinnon?
Now, McKinnon's got his head down right now, even though he finished off that scoring drive for Georgia Southern to bring the Eagles back within a touchdown.
He's getting his mind right for the next 14 minutes and 56 seconds. He knows it's going to take punch for punch.
ODU ready to get it back. They have scored a touchdown on their last 4 possessions. Evans running along the 20-yard line and dump there. 14:50 to go here in Norfolk. Let's get an update with Reese.
All right, guys, time to put your finger on the pulse of what's going on ESPN2. It used to be a Big 12 battle. Now Colorado in the Pac-12 and Kansas leading them 31-18. Ben McLemore's got a dozen in the early going. On ESPNU, the SWAC championship game, Arkansas Pine Bluff won the regular season meeting, trying to win it for the first time since '66, but they're down 2 touchdowns. Mason Plumlee and the Blue Devils of Duke taking on Temple as soon as you guys are done. It's about 42.5 minutes away from tip-off.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing Duke again. 1st and 10. And we're going to get a whistle here. Penalty flag and false start.
False start. Offense number 7. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's Nick Mayers, the receiver. And there is Bobby Wilder, the head coach of Old Dominion. You just can't believe how fast things have happened here for this Monarchs program.
There's been a ballistic rise. You go from nothing and 4 years ago to the FBS in Conference USA.
Heineke closing in on 5,000 passing yards for the season. We'll pick up a few more there as Antonio Vaughn climbs the ladder to make that catch. A 7-yard pickup, Valdon Cooper with the hit afterwards. Now here is the bracket. Dominion, Georgia Southern. Winner moves on to the national semifinals next week. They'll play either North Dakota State, the 1 seed and defending national champions, or Wofford. Sam Houston State already moving into the semis with a win last night, knocking out Montana State. Heineke again all day, but nothing downfield. Now throwing on the run, complete. Caught at the 41 by Pinker.
Good job by Pinker. No scramble drill. He's able to come back to his quarterback and give him a place to go with the football downfield. You see Heineke escaping contain and just dumping the football in front of coverage with Pinker. Does an excellent job coming back and making the reception.
Now Tyree Lee, who's been pretty quiet in this game, carries for 5 yards. Just his 3rd carry today. He's got 20 on the ground. He's their leading rusher. 2nd down and 5 here for Old Dominion. Sun coming out nice and bright. Kind of a soupy day here in Norfolk. Heineke, another 1st down catch for Vaughn. Penalty flags after the play.
Offensive pass interference. Number 5, 15-yard penalty. Still first.
It's actually during the play. It was on Vaughn.
I was wondering, it seemed like they whistled it dead. I don't know if he stepped out of bounds after breaking the tackle. I don't know how Vaughn got open at the top of the field, but we've seen Taylor Heineke on the previous series where he gets into a groove. These are the types of things that get you out of a groove. They started the series off with a false start, and you see at the top of your screen, it was right there. See that separation that was created? It was right there kind of at the top of his route. He pushes off the defender to create the space.
Heineke, complete. Pinker, 1st down and more. Wow. That was a 2nd and 20, and they pick it up with ease. Cooper ushers the receiver out, but it's a gain of 23. They'll move the chains.
Pinker did a good job on his previous possession, coming back to the play, giving Heineke while he's scrambling about, and that time able to make the conversion.
Taylor Heineke has just become the first FCS quarterback to go over 5,000 yards passing in a season. That is absolutely amazing.
That's pretty remarkable. I mean, he's a sophomore when you look at it. It's a system. They do a great job. This ball game, he's hit some deep ones. He and his receivers have an excellent rapport.
Back in plus territory, and they go back to the ground to Tyree Lee with 41. Old Dominion had the best record in the CAA this year, in part because Taylor Heineke was on fire all season. But they weren't eligible for the conference title because they announced they were leaving for Conference USA. And a penalty mark. So they knew that the only thing that they could really set their sights on was a national championship because they couldn't win a conference title.
Offense number 3 never got set. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd.
Marquel Thomas didn't get set.
That time you could tell Old Dominion sensed that Georgia Southern wasn't ready. They wanted to get a quick snap, and that time maybe a little too smart for their own good. Everybody has to come set before they snap the football. In that instance, they weren't able to get it done.
3rd flag against ODU on this drive. Heineke. And Roberts is tripped up. A good pickup. It'll bring up 3rd down and manageable now. Wilcox the tackle.
J.J. Wilcox, one of the playmakers for Georgia Southern. Excellent safety. He spent time on the offensive side of the ball in his career, able to make a shoestring tackle.
On 3rd and 2, throws into traffic. And it's enough for a 1st down, but there are flags down as well.
Even if he doesn't complete it, I think they get the 1st down. Georgia Southern got caught trying to substitute. They had too many men on the field. It looked like Josh Gebert was trying to make it to the sideline. He didn't get there in time.
That's the second time that's happened at Georgia Southern today.
The tempo, you can see, you know, what was it, 2 snaps ago? Old Dominion, they caught themselves because they didn't get set.
Illegal substitution on the defense, number 93. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
You can see there, he's just trying to get off. Hustle, big boy.
He's 285. It doesn't move that easy.
Get on your horse. It's a long way to go. Jonathan Battle just trying to make it to the white stripes over there. Cost his team the yardage and a 1st down.
Yeah, you don't want to give Taylor Heinicke any more breaks. He makes enough for himself. He has hit his last 11 pass attempts. Under 12 minutes to go. Heinicke wants to throw here again, complete again. And it's Mayers. 1st down inside the red zone one more time. A.J. McCray, the tackle, but a big gainer for Mayers of 17.
And you see these guys, and they leave the receivers in and hop back into 2 receivers to either side of Taylor Heinicke. And he understands exactly where to go with the ball.
Play fake, dropped. Now Mayers is looking to get upfield before he had possession of the football. First incompletion in quite a while for Heinicke, and it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, you know, and they've suffered a couple of penalties in this drive, but this is more of their offense. You know, quick hitting, get the ball out to your playmakers in space, you know, get it to Nick Mayers and let him make somebody miss is what they were attempting to accomplish there.
Roberts down at the 13. That last incompletion for Heinicke was his first incompletion since the first play of the 3rd quarter for Old Dominion. He has just been on fire here in the 2nd half.
And we talked about it. Coach has said he's streaky. He's on a hot streak right now. It would have been even stronger were not for the drop on that receiver screen.
3rd down and 6. Heinicke pressured. Ball comes out and Georgia Southern has recovered. Dion DeBose knocked it loose. And Georgia Southern with a huge takeaway. Patrick Flo, the backup middle linebacker, recovered it for the Eagles.
They brought pressure. John Stevenson gets in there, but not before DeBose was able to collapse in on Heinicke. You can see eyes downfield, and he's trying to secure the football. DeBose gets his hand on it at the last minute. One of the concerns was, can they hold up versus the pressure? That time, Georgia Southern occupies blockers. They're able to get to Heinicke, and they're able to stop a drive and hold serve, and now Georgia Southern a chance to tie it up.
Old Dominion quarterback Taylor Heinicke stripped. It's the first turnover for either team today.
There's DeBose. He's the one that's going to get there, but they're going to bring a zone blitz and drop out, and Patrick Flo is going to come, and Stevenson is going to come. They end up bringing 5 rushers, and you'll see DeBose able to get to Heinicke. Patrick Flo has the awareness, blitzing from his linebacker position. He's able to fall on the football. And this is the stop that Georgia Southern needed to get back into this ball game.
It's the first fumble inside the red zone for the Monarchs this year. William Banks, another running back in the stable for Georgia Southern, gets 4 on 1st down. Preston Smith brings him down.
I'm wondering a little bit, William Banks was in on the touchdown run by Jarrett McKinnon on the previous possession. Haven't seen Dominique Swope in a little bit, and not opening up this series either. That could be a significant blow to the run game for Georgia Southern if he's out.
Swope, the leading rusher, over 1,000 yards this season. You would expect him in there now, no doubt about it. McKinnon looking for room on the right side. Not a ton of it. Picks up a handful. It's going to bring up 3rd and about 4. John Dar, the tackle.
We saw this in the first half. Georgia Southern was able to get some defensive stops, get the ball back to their offense. Offense unable to capitalize and get separation on the scoreboard. In this instance, They're just trying to answer the scores that they've seen from Old Dominion and try to knock the game back up at even.
It's Banks again. Did not get the yardage needed for the first down. It's going to bring up a 4th and short as Caleb Taylor made the tackle. Now, what does Georgia Southern do here, Matt?
Well, the challenge now, of course, you're looking over here at Jeff Monken, and he recognizes you get fortunate, really, to get this ball. You see Dominique Swope there, he's walking a little gingerly. It doesn't look like he's ready to come back into the ball game. And on a play like this, short yardage, with the success that Georgia Southern has had, even if you don't give it to the dive back, it's the threat of giving it to the dive back that matters. You see him going to try to quick snap it.
McKinnon keeps, and he got it. Well, Jeff Monken, who learned how to coach football at a very young age. His dad, a high school coach, his uncles, his cousins, 12 members of his family are in coaching. And when he knows in his gut what he's got to do, you can bet it comes from experience.
Well, calculated risks, but it's also, you understand, you boys up front are used to run blocking. Can you pick up less than a yard? They were able to do just that, trusting his quarterback to get the yardage needed.
Play fake. McKinnon wants to throw and has time to do it. Man was open, but well underthrown. Bryant had some room to operate on that far sideline, but McKinnon couldn't get it to him. And Monken said McKinnon doesn't have a bad arm, but every so often he'll throw a lollipop.
Yeah, it's just the inconsistency. I mean, when you get a guy who can throw the football with authority and can still be as proficient as McKinnon is in the run aspect of the triple option, it's dangerous. We asked Coach Monken, well, what about wide receivers? Why would they want to play in this offense? He said they're covered in man all game long. There's opportunity. But you got to have somebody that can pass it.
So now 2nd and 10 on the Georgia Southern 32. McKinnon behind a blocker who slips, gets loose along the sideline, and pushed out inside the 40. John Darr ran him out of bounds, but McKinnon a gain of 29, a big run for the Georgia Southern Eagles.
Georgia Southern, great job of capturing the edge, hat on a hat, and McKinnon's able to get to the sideline and turn it up for a big gain. You see the threat that he is and understand why the coaches would want to get him as many touches as absolutely possible. We've got to think that he's going to be holding it more often, knowing that Swope is on the sidelines nursing an injury.
10th career 100-yard rushing game for McKinnon. Georgia Southern down a touchdown. 8.5 to go here in Norfolk. It's Banks again. Big run to the 30. Boy, that was just pure power. A gain of 9 for William Banks, the junior out of Augusta.
Banks just mules his way for this yardage. I mean, just shy of the first down yardage. Tackler's hanging off of him. Great job staying on his feet, keeping his feet churning, protecting the football in traffic. Setting his team up with a 2nd and short. It was a big physical run.
10th play of this drive, which started at the Georgia Southern 21. McKinnon lunges ahead, first down.
Tell you what, not only are they getting yardage, they're converting these short yardage opportunities, but they're hanging on to the football a little bit. This isn't quick strike. They're getting a couple of big gains. But we've seen 2 drives with Georgia Southern that came away with points, but they only possessed the football for a little bit more than 2 minutes. We've already seen on the previous possession for Old Dominion, difficulties for the Southern defense getting on and off the field, getting their defensive blow, and getting a chance to score points with this drive.
Banks, well, he's the workhorse now for Georgia Southern. The 2012 NCAA Division I Football Championship continues next weekend with semifinal games on the 14th and 15th, both games on the ESPN networks. For more information, go to ncaa.com. Winner of this one will get the winner of the North Dakota State Wofford game. Georgia Southern wins and Wofford advances. It would be a SoCon matchup next week.
The rushing yardage in that game.
That triple option attacks. It's Banks again. First down and more. Still on his feet. Great balance to the 5-yard line by William Banks. A gain of 18. First down and goal to go for the Eagles.
How about William Banks? If I was faster, this is how I would run the football out there. Never got a chance. Just blow somebody up. Don't run around anyone. And like Zach Walker, his own receiver, walking downfield. Banks is not worried about making anybody miss. I'm not deviating. I see where the end zone is. I'm just going to keep my head down and keep running.
He had to leave because his helmet came off on the play. He'll be out for one play. McKinnon checks at the line. And now calls timeout. Georgia Southern calling a timeout. 6:19 to go. We'll talk it over with the coaching staff on the sideline. Old Dominion, Georgia Southern with a great rematch of a playoff game from a year ago. Here again this year. Will play North Dakota State or Wofford. NDSU trying to become the first national champion to repeat since Appalachian State did it 3 years in a row between 2005 and 2007 here in the FCS. Dominique Swope is back in. He's number 6 for Georgia Southern. First down and goal from the 5. McKinnon, the keeper, and he's stacked up. Gain of maybe a yard. Second down coming up. Georgia Southern. 520 yards rushing today. 4th time over 500 yards this season.
That's just remarkable how many yards that they stack up. I mean, when you know what's coming, you know that they're going to be keeping it on the ground. But this offense just kind of unfolds at you as you look at it from the defensive perspective, and it makes it a challenge to know where the ball's going to end up by the time the play's over.
McKinnon. Touchdown, Georgia Southern. Found a little opening and scooted in. And that's his 3rd touchdown today. Georgia Southern has come all the way back. They're 1 extra point away from tying this up. We are tied with 5:32 to go.
Jared McKinnon, the quarterback, dead-legging a little bit, picking up yardage. Banks stepping in for Dominique Swope at the feedback position, blowing up his own players. And then McKinnon following Swope in for the score.
Looking forward to it. We've got a great finish here in Norfolk. 5:26 to go. Taylor Heineke. Hands off to Tyree Lee, and he is pushed back. Be a loss on the play of 1 yard. Sneaking through to make the hit. As Javon mentioned, the pass rushing specialist has been pretty quiet today. You know, we talked about that offensive line of Old Dominion doing a good job protecting Heineke.
Well, there have been times when they've actually gotten to him. Georgia Southern has with the pressure, and Heineke has made him pay for it, extending plays or scrambling.
2nd and 11. Now some pressure. Heineke going the wrong way. Gets it downfield, and it's nearly picked off and then nearly caught by Blair Roberts. Valdon Cooper almost had the interception.
You see Heineke is able to escape some of the pressure, but late, John Stevenson, who's the leading tackler for Georgia Southern, decides to take a shot on the passer. He goes high, he goes late, he goes helmet to helmet. There's about 3 different things that went wrong with that strike. Totally unnecessary, of course, and now costs his team not only field position, automatic first down, and lets Old Dominion out of that scenario.
John Stevenson, the senior from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Last year, he was in the stands for the playoff game against Old Dominion. Didn't make the travel roster. Has been one of their key linebackers this year, but a critical mistake for Georgia Southern. Now 1st and 10 from the 35. Heineke, deep down the middle, incomplete. Contact, no flags. Antoine Williams, number 37, doing a good job getting back in pass coverage.
Yeah, it looked clean to me. Antoine Williams running step for step. Good job in the coverage. Well, Heineke obviously wanted to capitalize a little bit of momentum off the penalty, pushing the football downfield to Roberts.
4:41 to go. Winner goes on to the national semifinals next weekend. Heineke, complete to Nick Mayers, and then he slips down. And a third down and long coming up for ODU.
Big situation there. Obviously, Nick Mayers, though, if he doesn't slip down as A.J. McCray was closing in on him, once again, that's advantage Nick Mayers, his ability to make people miss. As it is, we've seen a couple of times with skill position players slipping down on this turf. And this is a big third down, obviously, for Old Dominion. Georgia Southern trying to get the ball back for its offense.
Chased again. Stevenson in pursuit. Got it to Lee. And he's not even going to get back to the line of scrimmage. Fourth down coming up for Old Dominion. And they got a punt here, right?
They do have to punt. There's no question about it. Georgia Southern, once again, this time they brought Stevenson and Patrick Flo from their linebacking positions. They've had success with the blitz. Very lucky Old Dominion is that didn't end up in the arms of a defender. Regardless, the timing that Jack Curtis has brought as the defensive coordinator for the Eagles in bringing pressure, it's been spot on for most of the night.
Darius Eubanks, Georgia Southern defensive back, is down. And even though Old Dominion, one of the leaders in the nation in fourth down conversions, they're going to bring on the punting unit. Let's go back to that last play.
Blood in the water. You see Patrick Flo stemming up into the line of scrimmage. Not bad pickup, but Stevenson was the one that came clean through the line. Flushed Heineke and was able to get his arm as he threw. And Eubanks makes a great tackle in the open field. But you wonder if he's got a stinger. Yeah. It's good to see that knee up, of course. Otherwise, you know, typically when you see if it's a neck injury, they're kept very still and you see him moving. He might have gotten a knee to the helmet. And believe it or not, that's usually when you get your eggs scrambled the most. It's not getting hit by another helmet, but it's when you get kicked. And I think that's what happened at the end of that play.
Big round of applause here from the fans in Norfolk, Virginia. The ODU fans happy to see the converted linebacker, now free safety, make his way to the sideline. And now we're seeing Heineke come back out onto the field. We talked about this team on fourth down this year. 77% conversion rate on the year on fourth down. But Heineke also very good at the pooch punt.
That's the question now if you're Georgia Southern. They don't have anybody back deep. I'll be surprised if Heineke doesn't punt it away and try to get Georgia Southern a long field.
Backs up, looking to throw. Comes short. Incomplete. Tyree Lee couldn't make the catch, and Georgia Southern, with a huge play, maybe the biggest of the game, takes over on downs with a short field.
Big gamble by Bobby Wilder. He decides to go for it. Stevenson, a guy who he just kind of raked a little bit for the helmet-to-helmet contact, is there to make the play. Almost comes up with the interception. And now, you know, if you pooch kick it, if it's a quick kick by your quarterback, Southern didn't have anybody back deep. Maybe you roll that one and give them a 70-yard field to go. As it is, Georgia Southern with a 40-yard field to work with to take the lead late.
From the 39 of ODU, Georgia Southern starts the drive. McKinnon the keep, and a first down run. 12 for McKinnon. Chris Burnett makes the tackle. Don't forget the Heisman Trophy Award show coming up tonight, 8 Eastern on ESPN. After we're done here, Duke is going to take on Temple, the number 2 team in the country, as soon as we're finished here in Norfolk, Virginia. And right now, Georgia Southern has the momentum, and they're driving for the go-ahead score. McKinnon, the keep. Another first down run, and he's down to the 11.
This is something to consider, of course, now. So here's ODU. You don't want to give them and cede the touchdown, because if you hold them to a field goal attempt, who knows what's going to happen for Georgia Southern. But as it is, also, you don't want them to make them beat or score on you slowly, because you want to give your offense enough clock to work with. You've got under 3 minutes. You see Georgia Southern, they're going to take plenty of time getting to the line of scrimmage and try to milk as much clock as they possibly can.
555 rushing yards today for the Eagles. Swope, touchdown Georgia Southern. Now, did they leave too much time on the clock? We'll see, but for now, the Eagles have regained the lead.
Well, there's no chance, of course, that you coach your B-back here to go down before he goes into the end zone. Of course, you go ahead and you take the points. And at the same time, from a clock management standpoint, you've left Old Dominion quite a bit of time to still work with. You're just up 1 score, 1 touchdown here.
3 plays, 39 yards in just a minute and 2 seconds. After taking over on downs, the extra point is good by Alex Hanks, and it's now a 42-35 lead for Georgia Southern, the 6-time national champs.
Dominique Swope coming back into the lineup just in time. On the previous touchdown run by McKinnon, he was a lead blocker. On this one, he's able to take the dive all the way in for 6 points. He's going to probably need to stay loose. You never know in this type of series. And as quickly as we've seen Old Dominion, they've had a 1-play, big play, touchdown drive in the first half. You got to think that Georgia Southern is going to try to do their best to keep Old Dominion and their receivers in front of them as best they possibly can. But throughout today, we've seen it play where if it's not Nick Mayers or Roberts, they're able to get behind the coverage and hit big passing plays versus this Georgia Southern secondary.
Temple and number 2 Duke sent to tip off here in just minutes. That's coming up next here on ESPN. 4 straight possessions now for Georgia Southern with a touchdown. And now Old Dominion has to respond. Down a touchdown with 2:36 left. Our first touchback of the day. What a finish we've got in store here in Norfolk. For now, though, let's get an update from the studio with Reese. No doubt about it, Reese. We're having a lot of fun here in Norfolk, Virginia. With 2:53 left in the third quarter, it was a 14-point lead for ODU. Now they're down 7. Heineke throws over the middle, and it's intercepted. Picked off by J.J. Wilcox. And Georgia Southern can just about ice this one away.
We talked about the safeties for Georgia Southern and keeping these receivers in front of them. Well, the irony somewhat is that a year ago, Nick Mayer had to play both ways for Old Dominion. And he forced a fumble, and then he fumbled it away versus Georgia Southern in their matchup in the postseason a year ago. And that was the difference in the ball game. And here, Heineke was trying to get it to Mayers. Great play by J.J. Wilcox. He breaks on the football and was able to come up with a turnover and get his offense back on the football field.
And now Swope on the carry, pushing the pile. Dominique Swope wills his way to a first down, and Georgia Southern can feel it on the sideline. J.J. Wilcox invited to the Senior Bowl on Monday. Tell you what, the scouts are going to appreciate that big play at a big time. That was the first interception thrown in Heineke's playoff career. Here in the second half, he fumbled and he threw a pick. And it could cost his team this game here in the quarterfinals.
After the numbers that he's put up, record-breaking numbers, unprecedented season at the quarterback position.
McKinnon keeps it in bounds. The clock continues to run under 2 minutes.
Here's Wilcox right here. And they're going to try to get the ball to Nick Mayer. And you're going to see Wilcox. He's just going to drop back in coverage. Wants to make sure he keeps him in front of them. But just a little bit late. You know, Nick Mayers had already come out of his break. Wilcox could see and read the quarterback's eyes looking into the backfield and broke on the ball just in time. And you see there Taylor Heinicke heartbroken on the sidelines, knowing that those 2 turnovers, an opportunity for them to go up. They were driving, just go up yet another score, get stripped for a fumble and then an interception and potentially ice the game. Looks like, I don't know if the game clock is frozen.
They're going to reset the game clock, I believe, is what I heard. Kind of hard to hear in this old press box.
Or sound booth.
Don't forget Temple and Duke coming up as soon as we're done here in Norfolk, Virginia. Take you out to the Meadowlands. Minute 51 to go. Now, minute 54, so they put 4 seconds back on the game clock. Boy, Georgia Southern just grabbed this game by the back of the neck here in the 4th quarter.
Key plays. Defense came up with some big plays, obviously.
They take this play clock down deep, trying to burn as much time as they can. McKinnon's not going to snap it until 2 seconds left on the play clock, and then he'll lunge inside the 10-yard line. And a timeout, Old Dominion.
I look back and wonder, you know, Bobby Wilder, the opportunity to quick kick it. We talked about it, Taylor Heinicke. Was there on a 4th down try. And John Stevenson, who got picked up for a roughing the passer earlier, and then Jarrett McKinnon, able to make them pay and ultimately giving it to Dominique Swope, his B-back, leading rusher. And then the final INT, J.J. Wilcox, who we mentioned, he spent time on both sides of the ball this time at Georgia Southern. And he comes up with a big reception and interception to kind of seal the deal for Old Dominion. And you got to know that Bobby Wilder, this is their last shot at it in the FCS, wondering had he had his quarterback quit kicking and play field position instead of going forward on that 4th down and giving a scoring opportunity to the opposition.
They were at their own 38. Probably should have punted. Decided to go for it. And it went against Bobby Wilder. Meanwhile, Jeff Monken earlier in the quarter went for it on 4th and inches from his own 29. Came up aces. It's just a strange game sometimes. Penalty flags down. McKinnon gets it down to the 1. There's a marker on the far side of the field.
I think the defense might have been close. It was a broken play either way, though. You could see McKinnon.
Outside. Defense, number 46. That penalty be declined. 1st down.
That's John Darr, the strong side linebacker. So now 1st down and goal for Georgia Southern. Right on the doorstep with a minute 18 to go. They can salt this thing away.
Well, except for when they've thrown the football, and you see Darr just trying to time his blitz, trying to get penetration. Miscommunication in the offensive backfield. That's the first time we've seen it. And Jeff Monken has been in this offense. A lot of these coaches that run the triple option, they grow up in it, they stay in it. It's not like you just hop around in different philosophies. First time that we've seen a little confusion on a Sunday.
Did they get in? No indication yet. No signal from the line judge. And they're going to mark him short. So 2nd down and goal to go. 52 seconds to go. Old Dominion calls a timeout. They've got one remaining. Temple and Duke up next, the number 2 team in the country. And Krzyzewski's team ready to get Seth Curry back. That's good news. McKinnon today, 170 yards rushing, 3 rushing touchdowns. This ground attack for Georgia Southern makes them hard to stop, especially in the postseason when teams don't practice against this, don't see it. And Old Dominion doesn't have anybody in its league that runs the triple option.
Yeah, it's just challenging. It really is. And coming into this game, we felt like maybe Southern would have the edge because they'd seen an Appalachian State and Elon that throws it a little bit more. They played at University of Georgia. They played up. You know, ironically, Old Dominion making the leap to FBS, didn't play any FBS schools this year. And so Southern had seen it. They'd seen some teams that could run up tempo and that spread it out a little bit, whereas Old Dominion, James Madison, maybe a little bit of option element, but not a ton. Makes it that much more difficult. But they did it. There were stretches in this ball game, Clay, where Old Dominion was stopping this option attack and doing an excellent job of it.
Georgia Southern over 600 yards rushing today, the second time this year. They're going to take their time here, second down and goal. McKinnon, second effort. Did he get in? Again, no indication from the line judge. And now a timeout called by Old Dominion, the last timeout. All right, Reese, thank you. Georgia Southern ready to knock Old Dominion out of the FCS playoffs for the second year in a row. And likely the last time ever, because going on to the FBS, the Monarchs, they're going to be at Conference USA in 2 years. And Georgia Southern themselves, they have prepared themselves for a call from a conference in the FBS, maybe the Sun Belt Conference. They've approved it. They're ready to move up. Just the call hasn't been made yet.
Yeah, they're looking for a home, and it's somewhat strange when you think about it, because Georgia Southern is the most accomplished FCS school out there. Since 1982 with their 6 national titles. It's a dominant program with nowhere to go with aspirations to reach the FBS level.
McKinnon takes it wide and gets it in this time. And Georgia Southern is going to move on to the national semifinals for the 13th time in their history. Jeff Monken's team was down in this game 14 points, and they have had a great second half, especially here in the fourth quarter.
It's a great shot of it there. All night, McKinnon has done an excellent job with his decision-making. Frustration there at the end of the run. But one of the keys that we felt in the second half was for Georgia Southern, even though they were derailed offensively, a couple of missed field goals in the first half and a punt, they just stick with what they do. You know, this offense can possess the football. They can also hit home runs, and we've seen some big runs in this ball game. One for penalties in the first half and a couple of others where they lost some momentum and it cost them. The defense really stepped up big for Georgia Southern in the second half.
Hanks with the extra point. Georgia Southern has outscored Old Dominion 28-0 here in the fourth quarter. Unbelievable. And Georgia Southern with the 6 titles. It's the most in FCS history. They're looking for their first since 2000. There's a young Jim Tressel when he was the bench boss at Youngstown State. Penguins had some good years. Appalachian State, Armani Edwards, and he was a great quarterback. Of course, that upset in the big house, so many people remember that, but a lot of people forget that App State won 3 FCS titles in a row.
Yeah, that was a dynasty there for a little bit, a mini dynasty, if you will, reminiscent of the middle 80s under Irk Russell for Georgia Southern. But they've gone on runs. They've been in and around the national title just about every season where this offense has been installed. It's no wonder that they so closely identify with this way of operating a football team. We spend so much time talking about the triple option. The defense as well. They have to prep versus different offenses than the one that they actually run at Georgia Southern. they were able to do just enough versus Old Dominion here today in an offensive approach that is completely foreign to what their own offense runs in practice. They did an excellent job of it. There were stretches where they gave up plays, but they got the stops when they needed.
Especially against the quarterback that might win the Peyton Award. He's a tough guy to stop, and Georgia Southern did stop Taylor Heineke when they needed to. That's Colby Goodwin on the return. 40 seconds to go. Georgia Southern celebrating already on their sideline.
Number one!
Georgia Southern ready to get its 10th win of the year. They will either play North Dakota State, the Bison, taking on Wofford right now. North Dakota State, the defending national champions. That is a great defense for NDSU. Wofford known for the triple option attack, much like Georgia Southern.
It would be an interesting matchup when you think about it. There's nothing from an element of not understanding a triple option. Ultimately, Wofford will be very familiar with that approach. North Dakota State, it doesn't seem to matter what type of offense they face. They are, in a lot of ways, reminiscent and on par with an Alabama type of a defense, even a Notre Dame at the FBS level.
Holding. Offense. 78. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
Jeff Monken. He still talks a lot with Paul Johnson, who has taken that triple option attack to Georgia Tech with success. There's Darian Robinson with 30 seconds to go.
You see Nick Mayers just trying to get the ball to your playmaker. See if he can do something. Game's well out of reach at this point, obviously. And Jeff Monken was with Paul Johnson at Georgia Southern, went with him to Navy at Georgia Tech, and then when he brought it back to Southern, the winds returned with him. This program finds ways to stay around the national title picture with this type of approach. They get the players that they need.
That's going to do it. There's a penalty flag. The game can't end on a penalty.
Well, you look at it, and this is what's been brewing all game long. And this is the thing we talked about, the officials. Will slow things down a little bit, but it's been chippy. These two players have been mixing it up, these two teams, all season long. You see Jeff Monken. We don't want to get anybody suspended either towards next week's game. Let your play do the talking.
That's going to do it. 49-35, the final. Georgia Southern moves on to the national semifinals. North Dakota State and Wofford currently on ESPN3. It's ACC college basketball. Temple and number 2 Duke, Mike Patrick and Phil Raftery have the call.